Talking about the Lounge, episode number 268. I am recording again for the first time in forever. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy to think about. I'm Alex,
Indeed.
and there's also Pink.
Hey!
Addie is busy, wrestling a polar bear. The polar bear's the underdog
We've
there.
melted the polar ice caps to a point where now they're invading Hungary.
That, on one hand, that should be terrifying. At the same time, Hungary's already dealt with the Mongols and the Turks, so, the polar bears don't seem that scary by that point.
You're not wrong there.
So, Pink, got anything coming out on your channel?
Yes, I should be having more Ultimate Alliance coming out on the channel this week, and I should be having a couple Dead by Daylight episodes coming out as well. In addition to that, there might be a 2K22 stuff in hyping up 2K23 coming out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
On my channel, I have nothing planned. Again, I would like to get more stuff done. At the same time, I'm thinking I need to just take it a little bit easy with stressing out about putting stuff out on the channel. And maybe if I don't worry so much, I'll actually get stuff done. Who knows? Gotta be something I enjoy. Ooh, excuse me. Now, on the group channel, there will be, on Monday, February 13th, there will be Operation Claymore 1.2. We're returning to Siege to blow people up. We're engaging in the ultimate counterterrorism, bombing the shit out of people.
Precisely.
And then on Friday, February 17th, you guessed it, it's more Fire Pro.
Oh boy.
It's just a gold mine for content. It just doesn't stop. It's like, how many games have we run into that are just like that big a gold mine? There's Terraria. Minecraft we could get stuff out of, but the problem always was that it didn't take long for me and Addie to be too tempted and go into creative mode, and by that point it just turns into blowing everything up.
True.
Think of what else games have been such gold mines. I don't know. But anyways, that's what's coming out on the group channel. Pink, what you been up to the past week, man?
Alright, what have I been up to? Nothing really out of the ordinary. I've been spilling everywhere. I've still been sinking a ton of time into Fire Emblem Engage, still having a lot of fun with that. And in similar vein to Fire Emblem, I picked up a game called Symphony of War on Steam, which
Really?
is which is a kind of a Fire Emblem homage created by American developers, I want to say, where the game is clearly almost a one-to-one copy paste of Fire Emblem, but there are some more unique mechanics that they added. And I've had kind of my eye on it for a while now, for several years now. I'd always heard that they really nailed the gameplay aspects of Fire Emblem, and I heard that the story was absolutely terrible. And when I started playing the game the other day, I was like, wow, I think they really undersold how bad the story was and how bad the grammatical errors were and how bad the writing is just straight up. Because it's like, I'm not even an hour into the game, and there were so many grammatical errors and cringy writing and just
Yeah,
sentences
I'm
or
looking at the Steam page
statements that
now.
don't make sense.
This looks
It's
like a
like,
game, yeah, that would have that kind of writing.
yep.
And I
It's
see
like,
the Steam
oh,
page, and I see immediately what made this more interesting to you than the standard Fire Emblem game.
right. There's like 100% more ass than usual, which is actually really impressive because Fire Emblem itself has does a pretty good job of ass representation. Um,
Like, holy shit, talk about big woman.
right.
Wow. Wow.
Oh lordy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the writing, the editing, the story, It's straight up trash, but the gameplay elements, they actually did a very good job. I did have a lot of nitpicks and complaints about it though, because again, I'm only about an hour or so into the game, and to me, the UI and the what is the I'll just call them icons. So like your characters on the board in Fire Emblem, it's very easy to look at the board and immediately see what all you're dealing with, what all you have at your disposal. You know, you'll have like a little bow and arrow icon over your soldier to indicate that yes, he's an archer, or a sword to indicate that yes, he's carrying a sword, and that goes both ways for you and the enemy. So
Can I
in
get this in just
Symphony of War,
as an
go ahead.
observation while you're talking about this particular thing? I'm looking at these screenshots and it's like, oh, the in battle like sprites are actually, they look quite nice. I like a lot of these monster sprites I'm seeing. And then I see the like actual dialogue sprites, and they
Dude,
look like,
their art direction is all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah. What's up with this?
Like,
What are these fucking mobile porn game sprites? What are what?
right. It's there are three immediate different art directions that I can recall off the top of my head. One is the your classical art, not classical art, but your weird mobile game art direction for all the dialogue and whatnot, the character art. Then you've got the hub world, which is like miniature chibi sprites, and then you've got the actual map sprites where your gameplay is focused on, and that's the more Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem type of sprites. And then you've got the actual sprites when you're in combat with somebody, and they get a little bit more upgraded, more akin to like the later Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. The the more advanced sprites, not little chibi styles, but more advanced, but still kind of old school.
Yeah,
So yeah, their art direction, their spriting, their everything is just completely all over the place.
like not only is it
So
all over the place in the pictures I'm seeing, we've got one where I've got what looks like, knockoff Marth and knockoff Lucina, and they look like Fire Emblem characters. They've got
right,
that kind of little, not quite anime, but pretty anime adjacent face going
yeah,
on. Then the next one over, I see Giant Woman talking to some other guy, and they've got generally relatively close to like they look like bad 1980s Lord of the Rings paperback covers.
right.
I mean, like between like the classic, medieval style engraving style drawings, that were art that was made for Lord of the Rings, which is of course classic, and of course Peter Jackson's, live action Lord of the Rings, which is iconic. There was just kind of this poopy era of drawing Frodo as having a relatively realistic face, but kind of looks a little bit off. And then the rest of him, though, is like drawn much less photorealistically.
Right.
What is going on here?
Yeah, it's all over the place, all over the place. And back to the major complaint I had at hand, where everything was very easily visually identifiable. That is not the case with. Oh, good lord! I'm looking at the Steam pages, and I just saw another clash of art styles.
Yeah,
But yeah. So in Fire Emblem, each unit is just representative of that single unit. In Symphony of War, they kind of they add units into the units, if that makes sense. So you've got your major character like Zelos here, who I'm looking at, his ugly mug. And then in addition to that character, he'll also have like a little squad of archers or a squad of knights. And those knights or archers are completely generic. They've got no character whatsoever. They're just adjacent units that provide extra combat bonuses or extra damage.
yeah.
So that's how their current system works. And it's really confusing because on the overworld screen, before you engage in combat, you don't really get to see what this character you're going to fight is packing, and you can't really see what your characters are packing either. You got to hope you remember that. So there were plenty of times where I'd go to attack a we'll call him a general, and then I'd find out, oh, this unit has archers as well. I wanted to attack from 2 tiles away with my archers and not take any damage, but this unit here has archers as well, and I had no way of finding that out or knowing beforehand, so I kind of shot myself in the foot there accidentally because I thought I could get a cheap shot in without taking any damage myself, but I was wrong because there's no little indicator of, yes, this unit will have archers as well as their major general. So,
Ugh.
yeah. It's got a lot of stinky design elements beyond the art styles or art direction, but other than that, it's actually fairly solid. It's not great. It's clearly got a lack of direction. It looks like they were taking it all sorts of places. They had many ideas that they wanted to do,
It looks
accomplish.
like it looks like a indie Kickstarter kind of project that had too many instances of people listening to those guys on Twitter going,
Yep,
"Game devs,
yep,
hire this man."
yep.
Or
Too
they
too
hi-
many chefs ruined the stew or whatnot.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely think there's a major case of that going on here. But all in all, it's not bad. Not bad at all.
yeah,
Would I recommend it? No, because again, the writing is god awful, but it's not terrible. Got the solid Fire Emblem esque gameplay, and that's what I was signing up for, and I got more or less what I wanted, so that was good.
yeah.
And beyond that, I obviously played Back for Blood with you, and I was about to say Back for Dead because I didn't remember the actual title. Um, that for me that went about as well as normal Left 4 Dead, but I'm just not very good at those games, so
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I can say that game I wasn't interested in playing further because it seemed like a lot of progression systems and stuff that I just wasn't interested in getting invested in. But at first, playing the first level on easy with Addy, which you missed out on, I was like, oh boy, this game's rough. And there's definitely, even once you get into normal difficulty and get deeper into the levels, there's still a lot about it that's rough. Melee combat is just not nearly as satisfying in Back 4 Blood as it is in Left 4 Dead. Which, granted, is cheating because Left 4 Dead had. Well, no, is it cheating? No, actually, it's a fair criticism. Left 4 Dead had a really satisfying melee combat because it had a really intricate gore system. Back 4 Blood, there was just a puff of blood. There you go.
Right. You get lots of puffs of blood, but that's the extent of it.
And, like, there was a noticeable thing for that first level, just kind of like, oh yeah, this is Left 4 Dead, alright. But with extra bullshit that didn't really need. Why is there shops? Why is there money? Why am I stacking perks? But
Right. The cards that
yeah.
made no sense.
But then that second level was actually really interesting when they threw that giant zombie at you.
Yeah, the big behemoth was good.
And like it gives you a health bar. So it's like, okay, this thing can be killed. But boy, you better have actually taken some heavy armament, and we didn't. So that was neat that they actually built that level around run away from this thing. This is the pursuer. If you can't kill this thing, and you probably can't, then just run, you know?
Yeah.
That final level seemed a bit insane though. Like it's a lot. The one thing I really noticed that seemed to be a problem was being way more stingy with healing than Left 4 Dead, and
Yeah, yeah.
much more aggressive about whatever that permanent health loss system. Which I'm sure there was some mechanic around that we didn't see because we didn't get that deep in the game. But
Right.
it seemed like a bad situation of, you know, when you're playing a more longer running arcade game like a Castlevania or what have you, where you're expected to do the whole game in one run. And if you get to the late game having used continues on a few levels and lost your gear, and it's like, well, no, you're not going to get past this boss because this boss is entirely reliant on you having actually kept gear from way earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a specific scenario, I know, but like it's just what I run into in Castlevania, the classic Castlevanias, for instance, where there are some bosses in Castlevania that are extremely difficult to deal with if you didn't have a ton of hearts stocked up and you had this weapon and so on.
Yeah.
It seemed like the kind of same thing with Back for Blood, where because of the permanent health loss system, where your health bar can get lowered down to a quarter of its initial size, it's kind of like, okay, did you take too many hits on level 2? Okay, wrap this run and go back and start over.
Yep.
Which is way more brutal than Left 4 Dead, because Left 4 Dead just gives you a refill at the start of the level. There you go. I don't know, maybe there was something more to it, but again, the game did not really grab us. The visuals were so-so. The decision to reuse the same 3 zombie body types, the same 4 zombie body types for the overwhelming majority of special infected, made the game feel kind of like shoestring budget, even though it clearly had a big budget.
Yeah.
The wealth of microtransactions that the game confronts you with pretty quickly doesn't send a particularly good sign either. A lot of the guns feel very awkward, especially the shotguns, even though they're good. Like, the shotguns are stupid good in Back for Blood, but they feel weird.
Right.
They're hyper inaccurate. And ordinarily really inaccurate shotguns feel bad. But no, the really inaccurate shotguns in Back for Blood are good because they will hit every zombie on screen. Still feels weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's just not a lot there that draws you into it and makes you want to get really invested in a lot of the systems. And it's a pity because some of those systems did seem like they'd get really interesting as you go on. And there we go. I've entirely overrode your talk. Overridden. There we go. Overridden your talk about Back for Blood. What was your take on Back for Blood?
My take, well, obviously less mechanical than yours, but I enjoyed it. I thought it felt to me very bare bones. It didn't feel like there was a lot of progress to be made, even as the Left 4 Dead games go, because there's just not a lot of overarching, what's the word I'm looking for, progress that you can make. It all feels very pick up and play, have a good time, then put it down, pick it up again later.
Yeah.
There's not any permanent progress that you do make. So for me, I enjoyed the time I spent with it, but beyond that, it's like, would I be wanting to play Back for Blood again over Left 4 Dead? With all the options that Left 4 Dead has, because you can add mods to Left 4 Dead. You can mod that game up, down, left, right, all across the board. And with Left 4 Dead, smaller roster, so you obviously got the more intricate voice lines as well.
Yes.
And
Much more
they've got the
personality.
yes, much more personality. They don't feel samey at all. Whereas with Back for Blood, it's like, yeah, I'm playing Doc and you're playing his mom, but it kind of felt empty character wise. Like
We need
I
to pick
didn't
up
feel any
ammo.
connection.
I'm hurt.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, I didn't feel any connection with the characters, no matter how fun and zany they could look or completely boring they could look. It's just like everything felt the same, and then add to the fact that I don't know if Left 4 Dead does this because it's been a little while since I played this, but also I was noting during our gameplay that hey, I can't see my feet and my hands. They're rather uninteresting. There's like no flavor added to the characters that you're playing as
Yeah.
from that first person perspective,
It kind
which
of
is
feels
really
like
unfortunate.
the character designers and the dialogue writers and the voice actors were spread a bit thin, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Left 4 Dead, there's only 4 survivors you can play. Well, 8, I guess, in Left 4 Dead 2, considering they had the 4. But
right, right.
the dialogue writers just got to sit down and write so much dialogue, and a lot of it is stuff that comes up randomly and it will have different possibilities. You can go through the same level 5 times and hear very different dialogue each time.
Yeah,
And of course, a lot of it was, a solid mixture of some relatively serious character lines, but mostly very funny stuff. Well,
Mhm.
Left 4
Mhm.
Dead has one of my favorite dialogue lines in any video game. When you're going through the food court, right? And Coach says, "All right, y'all, if a zombie comes at me with a plate of food, I ain't shooting it." Yeah, maybe there is something there, but it just seemed like compared to Left 4 Dead and Vermintide, which had a smaller, tighter cast of characters with more going on, you know?
Yeah, Vermintide was very good because not only is that the smaller roster of more intricate characters, but they all play vastly different as opposed
Yeah,
to Left 4 Dead.
entirely differently.
Yep.
Well, Vermintide also just, of course, gets out on it's a fantasy universe, so there's something immediately visually distinctive about playing the dwarf, right?
Right.
Especially because
Also
the
very
dwarf's
true.
camera is actually way lower than everyone else's.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like, I think there may have been something to developers looking at Left 4 Dead, and Left 4 Dead is a game where there is literally no progression. That needs to be said. Left 4 Dead is built pretty well in the old style of just hit play, play a level. There you go.
Yep.
There is no progression. There are achievements, but the achievements don't get you anything except bragging points. Or if you're on Xbox, it got you game points and would get you avatar customization items. Remember that shit?
No, I don't
If
at
you
all.
if you kill 1,000 zombies, you get a Left 4 Dead hat.
Oh man.
But that aside, there was no progression in Left 4 Dead. And I can understand a developer looking at that and saying, player could get so much more motivation to play the game again and again and again if there was progression rules. I just feel like Vermintide did a better job of that still, where it's okay, I've got a new sword, and it's not like Back for Blood, it's like, okay, I've got new cards, I've got a new gun customization. I hope I find that gun out in the field.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Vermintide, it's like, okay, I have a new sword, I start the level with the sword, I end the level with the sword. I mean, there's an argument to be had that Vermintide loses out on a bit of interesting gameplay design just because you can't swap out weapons mid-level, but at the same time, it's interesting gameplay design that's like, okay, plan things out. What gameplay build am I going for? What are my teammates doing going into the
Yep.
level, rather than just, oh, hey, an AK-47.
Uh-huh.
Or sometimes Left 4 Dead can be real bad about everyone picks up the Scar. Why? Because the Scar's the best gun. Fuck you. Pick a Scar and a frying pan. All right, you're ready for the apocalypse, boy. Anything else?
Anything else? Not nope, nothing else to say about Back for Blood, I don't think. And I don't think there was anything else major that I did over the course of the week to bring up for the pod.
All
So
right.
I do believe I will pass the baton off to you.
Oh God, broken. All right, yeah, there we go. Ooh, yes, my week. Let's see. So the big one is, or the big two is, I watched two movies. First, the unbearable burden of, or no, excuse me, the unbearable weight of massive talent. That is a movie. You may have seen the trailers for it a couple times. It is a movie about Nicolas Cage and his strange career over the last, I don't know, 15 years. And he gets called up. There's this big olive oil baron in Spain wants him to do his birthday party. And he goes there, and it's Pedro Pascal, right?
Right.
And Nicolas Cage has so far played just kind of an asshole who doesn't understand why everyone else doesn't love film as much as he does. He doesn't understand why everyone isn't as interested in the cabinet of Dr. Caligari as much as he is. And Pedro Pascal is playing this guy who, is in his 40s, but is a Nicolas Cage superfan. And loves it all as much as Nicolas Cage does. But also, the CIA comes and tells Nicolas Cage that Pedro Pascal has a little girl that he's holding hostage, trying to take over Spain.
Uh-huh.
So it is a very wacky comedy movie about Nicolas Cage being this kind of narcissistic dude who knows he shouldn't be this way, but at the same time he can't help himself. Finally finding real friendship after several years of being kind of lonely, even amongst his own family, in this guy who pretty well worships him, while also dealing with, might be screwed up. And the plot goes in directions after that. It's a very silly, very funny movie. I don't want to spoil too much of it. It's a very lovably goofy and dumb movie. And it is a movie that is Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal just going ham. Pedro Pascal is an actor who seems to be very capable of just about doing everything right now. Because he is doing everything right now. Holy Jesus.
That is a fact.
And this movie really shows, like, Last of Us, he's generally playing pretty subtle. Mandalorian, he's very, very subtle, because he pretty well has to be. Din Djarin is a character who isn't a very emotive person. Or the Mandalorian, Mando, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
But Unbearable Weight kind of takes him back a little bit to Game of Thrones, where he got to play more of an exaggerated, more eccentric character. And he swings for it this time. He fucking goes for it. Oh boy. It's a little bit, it reminds me a little bit of another eccentric performance he had in Wonder Woman 2. One of the only good parts of that movie.
Eh.
Man, Pedro Pascal can't go wrong with me right now. He is just firing on all cylinders. Great, great stuff. Very, it's trouble because I want to talk about the movie, but I don't want to spoil too much. But I think I've just gotten across, okay, good movie. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
the second movie, this one I have to ask you, have you watched Wakanda Forever yet?
I have not.
Okay. So I did the other day.
Very nice.
I'll try to avoid spoiling too much of it. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed it. I know certain other people in our friends group did not enjoy it. What I will say is the movie is filmed in a very weird way for the first half about. And some of it just makes sense. I mean, dude, Namor's in the movie, so of course there's going to be underwater scenes.
Yeah.
And apparently, unlike Aquaman, they didn't CG in the water. They actually had the actors go swimming.
Yeah, I definitely saw some behind the scenes footage of the actors doing their scenes underwater, swimming around. It's like, oh,
And
that's dedication. I wouldn't want to do that. No.
what I read was Tenoch Huerta, Namor's actor, and Ryan Coogler, the director, both did not know how to swim and had to learn how to swim to do the movie. The irony of casting someone who didn't know how to swim as Namor is just amazing.
That is a fact.
Oh, man.
Hilarious.
There is okay, you remember how God of War Ragnarok, I said a week or two ago, there is a point in that game you can tell where quarantine kicked in and the scale tones down some.
Yeah.
And the grandeur gets less impressive. So, Wakanda Forever has the opposite. There's a point in the movie you can tell we're quarantining. And suddenly, like, the filming looks much less weird. The cinematography is very weird. It's kind of claustrophobic at times. And there are times where you can tell they green screen stuff that no reasonable filmmaker would green screen unless it's quarantine. Like, there are shots of people standing around in a city that are obviously green screen, and it looks so weird. So that does make the first half of the movie just more than a little bit odd. The movie does have some slight issues, and there's also a couple plot lines that feel awkwardly put in just to tie into the wider MCU. Riri Williams is not quite as bad of a ill fit into the movie as I expected, but she still is ill fit. She still feels like she's just thrown here because, hey, she's black.
Right.
Martin Freeman has a whole plot line running on along the side that you can tell is supposed to tie into bigger MCU stuff coming up, Thunderbolt stuff, whatever's going on there. But after, like, his first scene, he stops being actually relevant to the Black Panther Namor plot. but he keeps getting scenes, and that comes off very weirdly. I won't complain too much because I love Martin Freeman and I like his character in the Black Panther movies. And I do like the character he's sharing scenes with, which I guess I won't spoil, but you can probably take a guess who it is. Oh,
Sure,
excuse me.
sure.
I thought the movie definitely is over. Okay. I will also say, as to the main plot line itself, Namor is an interesting dude. I think that unless you really don't like the new Mayan, they go into the Mayan stuff heavy on Namor. Namor speaks more lines in Mayan than he does in English
Hmm.
or even Spanish. And if you don't like Namor being switched from the whatever aesthetic he was in the comics to the Mayan aesthetic, if that does bother you, that part of the adaptation does bother you, then you will not like it because Namor is very, 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 very Mesoamerican, and so is
I see.
Atlantis. The point that is never referred to as Atlantis.
Ah.
It is only ever referred to as Talocan. But I thought they had a lot of fun with the Mesoamerican aesthetics. Talocan and its people look great. So does Namor. Namor is convincingly built as one of the strongest guys in all of the MCU. Like just about the whole middle stretch of the movie. It's like we got a nuke, guys, because otherwise Namor seems kind of unstoppable. Which is weird because I'm kind of used to Namor just being kind of in the comics, you know.
Right.
They do a very good job with writing Namor to be an interesting guy and a powerful threat, and for a triple stretch of the movie, they do a very good job of making you hate Namor.
Nice.
You want to see bad things happen to Namor. Which, I mean, Namor is one of the biggest douchebags in the whole of the Marvel Universe, so I guess that fits.
Absolutely.
Uh, let's see. One other thing I will get in just real quick. I want to avoid spoiling too much, but I will get in just real quick. There is a surprise villain appearance, but it is not who you think it is. Everyone has lied to you and told you it is the villain that it is not. Because the villain, I heard there was a surprise villain appearance that wasn't Namor, and the person I heard it was not them. And with all that out of the way, the one thing I'll just really quick say is the MCU is kind of continuing the theme that's been going on for the last couple movies. Like on the TV shows, the superheroes are getting some wins in, you know? Hawkeye seems like he's
Yeah.
probably going to get a happy retirement, and he's going to have to because there's no way Jeremy Renner's going to be able to do movies.
Yeah.
Sam Wilson got his whole win as Captain America and all that. But boy, Wakanda Forever continues the No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness thing of, oh boy, in the movies, the heroes just can't win.
Yeah.
Like, it continues the thing of, oh, the heroes are just taking loss after loss. And the heroes themselves are not doing a good job of dealing with it. Shuri, I won't spoil exactly where it goes, because it goes in some interesting directions. But Shuri, like Peter in No Way Home, and like Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness, is not the moral high ground paladin Puritan that T'Challa was. They,
I see.
I just, yeah, that's it for what I wanted to say about Wakanda Forever. I need to again though shout out that one part in No Way Home where Peter just straight up tries to murder Goblin. That's still so good. Like, I love not only that, showing the darker side of Peter again, showing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man actually stepping in to help, and Goblin still being such a shit that he betrays Tobey Maguire even though Tobey saved his life, you know?
Yeah.
I had such a good. Anyways, yeah, that's the two movies. So, when is Elimination Chamber? Is that next week?
Um,
Because WrestleMania is 50 days away.
I don't think it's next week. I think it's the week after this next week.
That doesn't leave much time in between Chamber and WrestleMania then. I mean, we don't know how Sammy versus Roman is going to end at the Chamber. It may be a comeback next week, folks kind of ending. But
Right.
there's a very solid chance that it's Roman wins, okay, on to versus Cody, which would be kind of a rough. I don't want them to make that decision because Sammy is so hot right now. They need to figure out some way to build Sammy into Mania, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, of course, the way they could do it that would be logical but kind of underwhelming for a lot of people would be if Sammy's the one who fucks Roman at Mania, allowing Cody to get right.
Yeah, but yeah, we want a little bit more for Sammy and a little bit more for Cody as well, because that would undersell Cody as world champion material as well if he's getting help from Sammy to win it all
Yeah,
on the grandest stage of them all.
yeah. And
I
Sam,
I ca- I I haven't kept seeing anything, but I saw a couple people saying that it should be Sammy and Kevin to take the titles, the tag titles from the Usos, but we're also in the rough spot now of Jay Uso
yeah.
is also on the outskirts of the family, the empire, the bloodline. So like how does that factor in? Do we just hand the title off to Solo and Jimmy Uso?
Well,
Hard to say.
that's gonna be part of the question, isn't it? What are the There's a very solid chance that Jay and Jimmy. Well, okay, so I didn't get to. I only got to see bits and pieces from SmackDown last night because we were playing Fire Pro, right?
Right.
But they showed Jimmy came out and said, "Okay," or Jay came out and said, "Okay, you guys are still my family. I don't like what you did to Sammy, but I guess I'll have to deal with it." He goes backstage. Sammy is back there waiting for him, and Sammy says, "Dude, they'll turn on you the same way they turned on me." And Jay kind of agrees, and Sammy says, "You don't like Roman," and Jay kind of silently agrees, like, "Yeah, I don't fucking like the guy." And they do a fist bump. Sammy goes out to the ring with Paul. This may have happened before. I don't know about the order of things. Like I said, we were playing Fire Pro last night, and Sammy
Yep.
says to Paul, "Dude, Jay is gone. You guys can try and hang on to him, but he's clearly gone. And Jimmy's gonna be more loyal to Jay than Roman. Like Jimmy betrayed me, but he
Oh.
won't betray Jay."
Oh.
Uh huh. And Sammy just straight up said the entire core thing of the whole storyline. Roman's ego has gone too far. The bloodline is crumbling underneath him. All even you gotta know this. And Paul, being Paul, just kind of clammed up and had that scared look on his face that Paul loves to make anytime he's alone in the ring with a face. But
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's a chance by Mania that it is just Roman and Solo. That's assuming the Usos don't get Solo in the divorce.
Yeah. I don't know where everything's going, but I'm liking everything so far.
Yeah,
Gonna be exciting.
like it's very narratively satisfying, and everybody's coming out on the other side good.
Yeah.
Speaking of what I did see about SmackDown last night, was they had a fatal four way to determine who's going to fight Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown next week. And it was a four-way between Arian Cross, Madcap Moss, Santos Escobar, and Rey Mysterio.
Didn't they just do this like a couple months ago when Santos won?
Santos, I don't remember. Did Santos ever get to fight
I could
Gunther?
swear they had a fatal four way like a month or two ago for a number one contendership against Gunther the following week, and Escobar won it, and then he got plowed through.
Well, there's the World Cup tournament. Santos got pretty far in that, but he didn't win it. But man, I was
I
just looking at this match.
I
Like,
will double check that because I could swear that Santos won a fatal four way to face Gunther for the title.
well, I was saying, like, okay, Ray's already fought Gunther, so he's not winning this. Cross is a heel, he's not winning. Santos is a heel, he's not winning this because they're not going to have two heels fight Gunther. But at the same time, Moss is a fucking jabroni. He's not winning this. There are no winners of this match. For another thing, just looking at it, I was like, boy, we've loaded the star power here. We got Rey Mysterio, a has-been, Cross and Moss, a both never wases, and Santos, a not yet.
How dare you insult my boy Moss like that?
Maybe Moss is a not yet. We'll see. But Moss won!
My boy!
And as Moss was, raising his arm, I said to the TV, all right, Moss, you can go ahead and start your coffin and get your casket ready now. By the way, shout out to the fact that this was the odd theme of the match, which I don't remember them even playing into it, though it was difficult to say because the TV connection was breaking up, so we maybe missed a spot. But Moss came out there with Emma, who was his real-life wife. Cross came out there with Scarlett, who was his real-life wife. Ray came out there, and his real-life wife was in the front row of the audience. And Santos came out there with Selena. And I was just... For one thing, I was thinking, oh boy, this is awkward. But what if the resolution of this match is Alistair does a run in and beats the fuck out of Santos?
I'd buy it.
He's not even employed with the company. Malachi fucking Black jumps the barrier. I don't think... Have they ever had a Fatal 4-Way where three of the men had their wives there?
I think this is a first.
And, like, three of them actual shoot wives. What the hell?
An impressive gathering there.
Alright, we found 3 honest married men in the whole company. This is a record. We need to get them in the ring together. Oh, boy. Yeah, Cross is just kind of... Wait a minute. Like,
It's been that way for years.
Cross is in the
Years, I tell you.
Cross is in the Shinsuke Nakamura category of, like, okay, like, he should be cool. And in the video games, he is cool. Real life, he's so friggin' lame.
Mm-hmm.
And good God, will him and his wife stop lip syncing to their entrance? It just makes them look like goobers. Like, nothing. When I look at Cross and Scarlett, they try to play them up as, like, hardcore killers. I can't help but see a late 30s goober married couple, right? Anyways. So that was about the extent I saw SmackDown last night. Technically, there was a tag match. I think it was, Raquel and Liv. Because Raquel's not turning heel. I thought she was turning heel for a minute there. Nah. Versus Chelsea Green, and I don't even remember who her partner was. And they did a cool tag spot, I guess. Chelsea is having a lot of fun working a shitty heel gimmick.
Right.
Chelsea looks like one of those people who has firmly settled into, I would like to be a jobber to the stars, please.
Right.
Just job me out, man. Oh, speaking of weird face and heel turns, apparently Santos turned face.
Yeah, I saw a little segment where he and Ray exchanged masks for some reason.
Yeah, and there was like a segment during the match where they shook hands, and I was just confused though, because it's like, Santos comes out every match wearing a mask that he then takes off. Because isn't that supposed to be a play on how dishonorable he is with Lucha, that he took off his own mask?
Right.
So if he's supposed to be a face guy who is now more respectful of Lucha culture, why is he still coming out and doing the entrance routine where he disrespects Lucha culture? Oh, man. He's one of the only guys to make the Samoan driver actually not look like shit, without killing the person.
Yeah.
Because Grand Metalik, by all means, had a good-looking Samoan driver. It looked too good. Either which way, yeah, that's about the extent of SmackDown. And do I have any games to talk about? Real quick. Ah, yes. I guess I should go ahead and hit. Yes, I finished my 4th ever Total War Warhammer campaign with the new modded faction of Warhammer Spain, Estalia. It was fun. They build cities that are expensive, but very rewarding, so you're encouraged to capture less cities and instead just go around stealing shit and pumping the money into your big cities. It was a lot of
Oh,
fun. A very unique, different gameplay style from the typical Total War style. I enjoyed it. I'll be playing more Total War. I have a strong feeling that throughout the marches of February and oh boy, help, help. Okay, the months of February and March, not the marches of month. Good God, that's the worst in a while. That's the worst in a while.
oh, so good.
Throughout the months of February and March, I suspect I may be getting back into Total War, which is good timing because April is when DLC is coming back.
Ooh, very nice.
I'm. If Addy were here, I would say sorry to him, but he's not here. All right. So, that is the extent of my week.
All
And
right.
we're coming in at a very nice 50 minutes here. Actually, it's close to 46.
Hmm. Quick pat for time. Why do I have mentions in wrestling?
If.
Oh, it's
Oh,
God.
yeah, it's GOG. I don't think anyone's aware you can turn off the notification part of quoting.
I'm certainly not aware.
Okay, go to quote GOG or reply. You see above the little text box, there's a thing that says replying to Tornado.
Yeah.
Look all the way to the right, you see the at, turn that to off. Then it
Ah,
won't
I
notify
see.
them. Yeah. I had to learn that because over on the Total War modding Discord, a lot of people just obnoxious notify the modders, and the modders constantly ask, could you please stop that? Oh, man. GOG, I love GOG. He's such an entertaining presence to have around now. That he'll pick these perfectly good wrestlers and say, they're dog shit and they are taking up precious TV time that should be going to Roxanne Perez. Or, Cora Jade,
Right?
right? Those two are
Cora
so
Jade.
fucking bad in the same
They're
ways.
interchangeable, but he hates Roxanne.
Yeah, they're interchangeable. And they wrestled that same dog shit match.
Uh-huh.
Good God. Like, can they just bring some girl up from the indies? Some girl up from the indies and just have her kill Roxanne and take the belt. I don't know who. I don't care who. It's like,
Just the first indie show that we go to, we're gonna pick up the first chick we see. Maybe not even in the ring. We'll just pull her out from the audience, and it'll still work out.
Roxanne is going to job to this 7-year-old girl. Kenny Omega looks on. Ah, finally. I mean, Gigi and JC can't be on NXT for much longer, right?
Um, I don't want to speculate on that because NXT has gotten a lot harder to gauge since I'd say 2019-ish. Because back in the day, you could get a pretty good feel for when people were ready to be called up, when they were inevitably going to be called up. I'd say probably around the time and a little bit before that NXT went onto USA Network, it got a lot harder to gauge because now they want to keep their star power on USA, on NXT USA.
Yeah.
So, they're not wanting to clear out all the stars because they're ready for the main roster. It's like we can clear out some, we can push out some, but we still got to keep at least a good handful of stars to keep
There's
down
also
here.
just simply, is there space on the roster for the.
That is true.
And that's why it's so laughable every time Gog is like, "Oh, Braun Breaker's debuting tomorrow." No, he isn't.
Right.
There's no
Right.
fucking space for him.
Right. Like I like Braun enough. I don't think he's the megastar that Wild and GOG make him out to be, but he's fine. He does good work and he's capable for as limited as he is, so he's fine. But to say that he's the guy who needs to come up and beat Roman is like, no,
Yeah.
I will not abide by that. That's sacrilegious.
If there's anything that would kill Braun, it would probably be that.
Right?
I think, like, if they want to keep the belt on Gunther for a minute, then I would say it would work. Have Braun come out and have Braun come out and kill heel jobbers in hard
Right.
squashes, and then he moves on to Gunther.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. I'm gonna mute myself because I gotta get the door for the dog.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, with Gigi and JC, I guess, I don't know, is there space for them on the roster? I want to say so because SmackDown's so lacking. But even with that, it's kind of less that, SmackDown's lacking and more that most of the good talent is really stacked onto the Raw side. I mean, after Charlotte
It's like,
takes
go ahead.
after Charlotte takes on Rhea, who's next on the SmackDown side?
Sonya Deville again, obviously. It's
Well,
her role in life.
Sonya and
Thing is,
Shots. If we got a heel
go ahead.
champion, Shotzi steps up to job. If we got a face champion, Sonya steps up to job.
Right. It's nature or something. I'm not even sure if SmackDown is all that underwhelming roster wise right now. I think it's just that a massive part of the problems with SmackDown is that they've got like four individual women who they're willing to push in any capacity, and then they've got like six or seven that just kind of sit around catering, doing nothing. Like Xia Li, they've they've balked on pushing Xia Li like 7 times now, to a point where now she's just making cameo appearances every now and again, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, to
But
either job or to squash somebody, and it's 50-50.
right. They have no idea what they're doing with her. They brought back Tegan Knox, we presume to be a jobber to the stars, but then she's picking up victories over the actual jobbers to the stars, I guess. And then who else do they have? I think they have Carmella, but that's not a not what I would consider a capable worker, but still a star in her own right that they haven't been using. But she's also been on the injured reserve for quite a while at this point.
Not injured. Miscarriage.
That is true, but I didn't want to address that because it's a not hot topic, but it's a depressing topic, and I figured just saying injured reserve list is uh similar enough.
Also, she's back now.
That is true.
I mean, like,
Um,
when I think of the SmackDown roster, I think of Shotzi, who is the shits. Liv, who needs more time losing before she can be an underdog again.
right.
Sonya, who like Sonya a lot, but they're jobbing her out hard. She's not going to be able to do anything for a good while.
Yeah, she's not a legitimate threat. They've got Raquel as well, and they don't know what to do with her.
Raquel's great in a lot of ways, but she's also green.
That is true. I thought she would work great with a tag reign, but then they paired her up with Alia, and I think that does more harm than good.
Yeah. Like, it just like what it looks like to me is when you look at Raw's stars, right? Bianca Belair, a star. Bailey, not quite as much as the other four horsemen, but still a star. Becky Lynch, a
Yeah.
star. Alexa Bliss, clearly slowed down quite a bit in the last year, but still a star. SmackDown, Rhea Ripley, who was on Raw up until now. But then SmackDown, you look at it and it's, Charlotte, who is great, but runs out quickly with the fans. The fans are very eager to hate her.
Yeah.
Because Charlotte does kind of have a natural, like, She has a natural face of smell the shit, right?
Right.
And she clearly doesn't know whether she wants to be face or heel, even when she's supposed to be working face.
Right.
We've got Ronda, who is a star, but one that is burning out quickly, and particularly because her promos and her matches both suck.
Mm-hmm.
Shayna, who is great and used to be a star on NXT, but kind of just got lost in the mix for a good long while and is now just kind of
Yeah.
Ronda's crony. Liv, whose star power burnt out the moment she actually held the championship. And other than
Mm-hmm.
that, like, who you got that's actually, like, recognizable names for most people?
Not a lot going there.
Yeah. It's difficult to say. I think Triple H does need to get rid of a few of the people he brought back to make space for people from the NXT people. And it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to say, and I don't like to say this guy should be out of a job, but it's not like, okay, let's look at Top Dollar, right? Top Dollar, completely fucking talentless and terrible. He's terrible.
Yeah.
But the man has gumption. The man has drive. The man has ambition. He could make a good living in some other industry that he has more talent in. Not this one.
Yeah.
Cross could go kill people on the indie. Because, like, WWE doesn't really have anyone they want Cross killing.
Right.
Cross's problem is WWE already has a mid-card killer. That's Gunther.
Uh-huh.
What Cross does that was special is already done by somebody else.
Uh-huh.
Send
Cross
him.
was barely special when he first burst on the scene as champion because we already had Dijak and Keith Lee and some other big guy whose name escapes me, but I'm sure he was there.
And they actually did cool moves that didn't drop people on their head.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I know Doomsday Saito and all that. Yeah, what happens when Cross fucks that move up and kills somebody? Like, you'd think people would learn to stop doing backdrop drivers after they killed Mizwa, but apparently not.
No, we have not learned our lesson.
Anyways, yeah, like, I mean, Cross seems like he would fit in just fine in AEW.
Oh yeah,
Him and his wife.
absolutely.
They could sit in that Malachi Black space of getting pushed once a year, and then Tony forgets about them for the next 10 months.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I think like Hunter, I think, is working out the kinks in terms of booking. And Hunter definitely seems to understand main event booking, which is the most important booking to understand, right?
Yeah.
But the mid
Yeah.
card, he's still shaking out the cobwebs. He's been out for a little bit, and the mid card was never NXT's strongest point, you know?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So Addy actually
Triple H
said he
seems
should be on
very
in Addy says he'll be on soon, but the time estimate keeps getting bigger.
yeah. I think Triple H is very project oriented because a lot of the times you can tell that he's putting a lot of love into the main event, but there have also been a select few individuals or stables specifically that he also invested a lot of time into that worked out very well, like Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. I'd say he was probably putting more time into them when they were running roughshod in NXT as mid card champions than he was paying attention to the actual NXT champion at the time, who I believe was Drew
I
McIntyre.
was about to say, was that Drew?
Yeah.
Because when I think of the NXT champion I wasn't hearing anything about, and I'm consistently surprised to find out he was NXT champion, I'm always like, Drew McIntyre?
Uh huh. So yeah, there have been several moments throughout NXT history where you could kind of feel the shift move from the main event championship to there's a specific individual on this roster that Triple H is really, really fond of right now. Like
And the people who
as
he
soon as
isn't fond
Kevin
of,
Owens started, go ahead.
and the people he isn't fond of get handed off to Pritchard.
Right, precisely. 'Cause there was a period of time where Kevin Owens was getting ready to transition to the main roster, and that was when Finn Balor became Triple H's boy, and he was everywhere on NXT, main event or not. And it wasn't soon before long that he became champion there. And then Shinsuke, another case of Triple H uh taking a fascination with him and touting him all across the world on his NXT brand before he became champion or anything. So yeah, I think he's very project orientated.
You know, I've been very curious if Shinsuke would actually go back to his old self under Hunter, and Shinsuke's seemingly just gone to catering under Hunter.
He went to Japan to have a match with Muda, and then I don't think he's been seen since.
No,
Was he in the Rumble?
don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't think he was. I don't remember him having an entrance at the Rumble. I don't remember his music
I
ever
don't
playing.
remember asking him to spit mist out, so probably not.
Oh God, have a mist in both Rumbles. Oh boy. All right then. We still gotta keep going for Addy. Fuck.
We're padding for time in case you couldn't tell,
Yeah.
dear viewer, dear listener.
The thing is though, when Addy gets here, he'll jump another 40 minutes.
Right, right.
Oh.
Oh, by the by, I did purchase a Xbox Sex this month.
What?
It arrived. Series X, by the way. It
Yeah, I know.
arrived on Thursday evening, I want to say. And I've got that all set up. It works beautifully. The HDMI port is not damaged like it is on my Xbox One, so that's a lovely thing. It means I can actually capture footage without having a black screen every couple of seconds for a couple of milliseconds, and that's lovely.
Yeah.
Uh, I was distraught to find out that the what is it called? The not backwards compatibility, but the cross generational compatibility with some games, specifically the 2K22. That is cross compatible, but the thing is, it registers that it's an entirely different game, so it's got an entirely different save. So that means
Oh.
I would have to play the showcase again to unlock all the showcase unlockables. That means I have to go through all the tutorials again. That means all my achievements, all my progress, all my universe stuff. That's exclusive to my Xbox One, and if I want to get that on the Xbox Series X, I'm gonna have to do that all manually. So I probably won't be tinkering around too much in 2K22 and just wait for 2K23 to
Yeah.
release in a few weeks here.
The weird thing is, when you get a game that is on two platforms like that on PlayStation 5, it asks you, do you want to download the PS4 or PS5 version?
that is not the case with the Xbox Series X.
Weird.
I mean, there's always a chance that I missed that pop up or have the option to do that and just didn't realize it. But the 2K22 that I installed and am running with currently, it's basically a blank slate of progress. So that was funny to see and a little bit depressing, but life goes on. It's all fine.
Yeah. Now you can finally make space for Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I'm so hyped, yo. He's gonna be my first ever Puerto Rican WWE champion.
You mean you never put the title on Primo?
Honestly, I don't think it did, even though he oddly got pushed to the moon in SVR 11.
Oh. On my SVR 11, he got jobbed out. SVR 11 booking was brutal whenever I played it. It was consistently, is your name John Cena or Randy Orton? No? Then you better settle for the US Championship, bitch.
Yeah, Primo, I know for a fact that for like 5 months in universe straight, he was always number one contender to the United States Championship. despite the fact that he was never booked like at all. It's like he won a tag match once, and that was enough for him to get boosted up to the top of the card
Yeah, Vince was
or
just
top
sitting
of
there
the
and Gorilla.
rankings.
My God, what a tag match!
Right? Well, yeah, I remember 11 specifically had a really rough time with the ranking systems. Like, I think the mid card titles were pretty randomized, but the main titles, the World Heavyweight and WWE, it's like you had 3 or 4 guys that would be in on the top of the card, and it would only ever be those 3 or 4 guys.
Yep.
It's like Cena, Orton, Batista, and Triple H.
Edge, maybe.
Edge, maybe.
And I remember trying to force Kofi to the top of the card and having to work so hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing people
I did
forget.
that with
You couldn't make title matches. Like,
yeah,
versus Raw 2011.
that was not allowed.
The wrestler legitimately had to earn them by being booked strong.
Yep.
So I had to give
That was-
Kofi a fucking Bill Goldberg-esque, like, 2-year-long winning streak before he got to fight Miz for the WWE Championship. I don't even know how I got the belt on Miz to begin with, either.
Honestly, Miz might have been the default champion at the time.
He was not. He was the default US champion. The default WWE champion was Cena.
Ah,
Because SmackDown versus 2011 versus Raw 2011 would have came out, like, at the same time, Miz.
I see.
And that was a Money in the Bank cash-in on Orton in November, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That would be probably when SVR 2011 released then. They always released in
Yep.
November back in the day.
It would have been October, late October or late November, I forget. There were definitely copies out in October, I remember that much.
Yeah. Huh. And when is 2K20? It's late March, isn't it?
March 14th for the early release and March 17th for the standard release.
Boy, they just about shadow drop the games nowadays, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Like it's legitimately like, okay, 2K24 is coming out tomorrow. What?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Buy it, assholes. The pre-order bonus is fucking Josh Duhamel. What? Anyways, how much, I don't know how much attention you've been paying to 2K23. Have there been any new features shown other than weapon taunts and war games and a new pinning game?
Other than that, I don't believe there has. I've not been looking into it because I figured I'd see any important clips on Twitter or like Facebook or something. But beyond those things, I think that's all that's really been revealed up to this point. And yeah, not a lot else going for it, which kind of to be expected. And I was happy with 2K22, so I'm sure 2K23 will be fine.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's what I was saying
not
the
not
whole
a
time
lot of.
before they even revealed anything about 2K23 was like, okay, just 2K22 with a couple slight additions, I'm happy.
Yep, yep. My biggest wants were roster related, so it's like war games, weapon taunts, all that other stuff. That's gravy to me.
Yeah. I am
I'm
with
really
Ted though
curious
that
to see
it would be really
how
cool
well.
if they
Go
added
ahead.
the cageless double ring. That would be really cool.
That would be rad. That'd be sweet. I probably wouldn't play a normal match again. I'm really curious to see how they implement the war games into a universe mode. If that's got any what's the word I'm looking for? If that's gonna have any issues, I suppose.
That is a good question because I figure what they're going to do is Universe Mode is probably just going to be programmed to replace the Survivor Series tag match with War. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Which I'll be happy with because Survivor Series in Universe Mode was always underwhelming since it was 4v4 at 5v5.
Yeah. And to be honest, I despise playing tag matches anyway, so I'd be happier just straight up with the war games anyway, because it's not a legit tag match.
Yeah, because the trouble is, in a real-world tag match, they always book it in such a way that when one team needs to win, the other guy's teammate just happened to be knocked out by something, right?
Exactly.
But in a video game, you can't do that. It always has to be, okay, do a normal move to the guy in the ring, go over and shoulder block the other guy off the apron, hope to God that it didn't run the random chance that he knees you in the face instead,
Right.
and then walk back
Right.
to the center of the ring, try and hit the finish on the guy who is actually in the ring as quickly as possible, and pin him before the guy who is outside wakes up. And even that,
Exactly.
you could be in serious trouble, especially if you have a submission finish, or God forbid if you actually want to do a tag finish.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It
I've
never play the
arrived.
Legion of Doom because you never want to actually go for the Doomsday device. It will never work because the other tag team guy will always fucking interfere.
Yep. And welcome to the party, Addy.
Hello, Addy.
Hey.
We were stalling for time because we cleared up our weeks and what was coming out on our channel in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, originally, I was told, hey, you'll miss like maybe 10 minutes. Got to like 40 minutes later.
There's a reason why whenever I'm told I need to like just be away for 10 or 20 minutes, I instead tend to post on the Discord, I'm going to miss today's podcast. That way, if I do actually end up showing, it's a happy surprise. But if the thing goes on much longer than intended, which it almost always does, then I'm not an ass.
Yeah.
The truth is, though, no one really minds if anyone misses the podcast. A fun, casual, nobody cares.
This is true.
It matters to me because I don't think I've missed a podcast since I've joined. So it's a
No,
dumb,
you've
it's a
missed
dumb
2 or
streak.
3. You've missed 2 or 3.
Have I?
Yeah, because like school events and stuff, and like doing stuff.
Oh, yeah,
for the-
probably. Yeah, probably. Never mind.
I think right now there's a scale to it. I think you've missed the least. You've missed 2 or 3. I've probably missed somewhere between 8 and 10. Hank's probably missed between 10 and 15.
I've missed. Yeah, quite the abundant amount.
But we're all beating Mike's record. So far, he's missed about 240.
Yeah.
That is true.
We can all know we're better than Mike. And we can also be scared if that number somehow starts to go up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Shut Your Mic podcast. Mike Your Mic podcast featuring Mike and the people he has chained up in his basement.
Featuring your hosts, Mike, spelled M-I-C, Mike, spelled normally, and Michael.
Yeah. He's had to split his brain into different personalities.
Yeah. It's just an identity. But it's Mike, and Michael.
Mike, Mikey, and Michael. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, Addy, we did already hit what's on the group channel, but what is coming out on your channel this week?
Well, I redid the narration for the video or the reviews that I'm working on, so that's a thing. I still need to start working on actually figuring out what I want to review after those, and then start scripting it and do all that stuff. But whatever. On the second channel, I went back. I looked at the reviews, the editing file for the reviews, and I went, actually, I don't feel like doing this. So instead, I opened up my miscellaneous. Well, I have like 4 different miscellaneous editing files, but never mind that. Opened up one of them. It's the one that I do the YouTube poops in, and I rewatched the YouTube poop that I canceled initially because I was like, well, I don't want to be like too. I don't want to make it too out of the line because I actually like the person. Like the person that I made a poop of runs their own business, and the channel is very heavily tied to the business. And I don't want to cut into their bottom line.
Yeah.
Like I don't want them to miss money because I actually like the shit they do. You know.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, if there's anything,
yeah.
unless the meme is particularly offensive and implies like he's a child molester or something, generally memes equal money now.
Yeah.
Right. Free advertising.
Yeah, I'm hoping that if it's actually if it actually turns out funny, then it will be free advertising. Because once again, like I want them to succeed. I think they do good shit. So yeah, went back, watched it. I was like, maybe some of the parts that I cut or the parts that I hadn't started working on would have been bad, but the parts that I actually had finished editing were all right. So I was like, all right, I'll just edit. Like I'll edit like one or two jokes because I was in the middle of editing those. I'll edit one or two jokes in, and then I'll just upload it as an unfinished YouTube poop. And then I finished the YouTube poop instead.
Oh,
And Pink can tell you about its quality because he's seen it.
Ah, yes, I have.
So Pink, what were your thoughts? I guess.
I loved it. It was very informative while also being not informative at all. Or misinformative, I should say.
Yeah.
I love misinformative content. Did you say misinformative or disinformative?
Misinformative.
Because misinformative implies, like, okay, this is bad information. Disinformative content implies that it somehow caused you to forget.
No, one of the running gags in the video is that I made him say the opposite of what's true.
Oh.
So, but it's one of those things because like I link all of the sources that I use, which initially this YouTube poop had a much larger scale that I technically could have pulled off, but some of the jokes that involved that scale, I didn't know how to tackle, so I just didn't, which is the easy way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like initially some of the wording doesn't make sense in the video because it's tied to gags that I initially that in the end I didn't do, and there was also a part where I would have referenced a meme video that I have shared with y'all, I believe, where someone dubbed over a cutscene in MGS1 where Liquid Snake talks about Big Chungus instead.
Yeah.
But my thing with this whole thing is that like I could include that, and I want people to see that video. I want more people to see that video. At the same time, if I am putting it into something that I'm doing, I want it to be transformative. And I couldn't figure out a way to cut around the video and stuff like that, so it's not the whole thing, while still keeping the well, I couldn't figure out a way to both utilize the punchline of the video without just being just the punchline of the video, and that's why I decided against using it in the end because just watch the original video. Like, at that point, I'm not really adding anything. I'm just paraphrasing and making it more concise, I guess. But like who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple of gags in the video that I really like, which Fink probably knows which ones I'm talking about because it's the like I like my running gags, which is a problem because the people that I like doing running gags make YouTube posts that are like 15 minutes long, so you can actually like space them out. I'm not at the level where I can constantly or consistently lay down the jokes for that long. So my videos are like 3 minutes long, and I still cram in the
I like my
self-referential humor or
YouTube poop
whatever.
shorter.
Now you might like mine.
That sounds like a recommendation. If you like shorter
Yeah.
YouTube poops, then you may like.
Like I'm glad to see where YouTube poops have evolved. Recently I saw a YouTube poop that was an hour long, and it wasn't a collaboration. No, it was technically it was a collaboration because the people who run the channel are a team. As far as I can tell, but whatever. But it wasn't a collaboration in the sense that it wasn't just here's one episode of King of the Hill or whatever, and we'll all just make YouTube poops of it and cut it together into one long video. No, it was a
I gotta step out.
It
I'm
was
gonna go shit my
on
pants.
all right. It was an original story where they took separate sources and just made them work semi seamlessly, and that that's not really descriptive, but it's like, all right, so Pink,
Yeah.
have you seen or at least heard about the Disney Robin Hood?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so they use characters from Disney's Robin Hood, and made them interact with live action Robin Hood actors, and edited the footage together to make it seem like the characters actually were having discourse, and it wasn't about stuff that were in either of the movies.
Mm.
It's one of those things where, like, would I say that stuff was the funniest YouTube move that I've seen? No. Like I like I like my sensory overload. No, not really, but whatever. Like I like it when jokes are tight and pretty much nonstop, and then the video ends. And video wasn't that. But I have to, like, I like that video because of the amount of effort that it took to make it work, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
Like as someone who spends a lot, as someone who spends a lot of time editing videos, holy shit, I don't want to do that. It's pretty much my recommendation. Like it is holy shit. I don't even want to think about how much workload that was, amount of effort. But yeah, so we have the YouTube proof that you saw coming out on Monday,
Nice.
and then I have already linked to the source video, but I might also just put a thing of like, hey, if you like this video, support the original channel, and then just link to them.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, I have another shit post. But it's an actual, like, it's an actual no effort one.
Ooh.
So it is a scene from Kingdom Hearts. And it perfectly describes Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, that's also gonna be coming out. I did a little edit, but it's just like it's just adding text. Like it's just adding a bit of text to people's faces to make a joke.
Nice.
Uh, and then I wanted to do a stream, like an actual proper stream, after we tested the streaming stuff with W, and I saw that I could actually pull it off. There were a couple of problems with that. For one, anxiety got the better of me, and I just went, well, you know, maybe it would be better to weather a couple of streams with one of y'all there when you have free time, before I just start doing stuff on my own, because I have the bot, but as far as I can tell, the bot can't ban people.
All right then.
And that may be a problem. But yeah. So that also on the same day, my dad had to go to the hospital.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you see, my dad developed epilepsy due to alcohol, and the medicine that he uses to make it so he doesn't have seizures is out of stock, like in all of the pharmacies around us,
I see.
and it was withdrawal. But yeah, he seems better, thankfully. Like
That's good.
there wasn't anything bad that happened. Like, it's bad enough that he had a seizure, but he didn't get injured in any more serious way, I guess. I don't even know how to put it. There doesn't seem to be any long-lasting problems stemming from it. I guess that's the best way I can put it. So that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that also was a thing of like, well, okay, then I can't really like I can't really do a live stream while my dad's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then they released him the day after. But then I was like, well, I can't really do a stream in good faith while I have to, like, watch my dad so I can be sure he doesn't have problems.
Yeah.
So I just played Skyrim instead. Because I can stop Skyrim whenever.
True.
Uh so yeah, that's it for the channel, I think. Then, as for my week, I've already started, so I guess I might as well continue with Skyrim.
All right.
So, I watched a couple of lore videos for Skyrim, which, like, I think it's a thing that W and I agree on, where, like, the Elder Scrolls games are kind of mid, but the lore is good. The
I
lore is
know
interesting.
nothing of their lore.
It's, I want to say 80% just Tolkien, and 20% the elves are assholes. Like
I
they,
believe it.
like it's this thing where the elves and the dwarves are the same species, and the traditional elves are dead. The dwarves have been teleported to another plane of existence. That's somewhat canon. It's our best guess for canon, pretty much.
I see.
And then the elves that remain are more like zombies because the dwarves tortured them and ripped out their eyes.
Oh my.
Yeah. Well, no, there's elves. There's the Talmor. Okay, so there's high elves. High elves are still a thing. Every other type of elves dead. Dead or otherwise disappeared.
All right then.
But yeah, like there's interesting parts of the world, and there's a neat way that they tie the lore of the games together because the games are not tied together at all, more or less. It's in the same universe loosely. But like
Mm.
one of the powers in universe is called Chim, which W has talked about, but it's basically god powers. Like
I,
characters. Like we can change anything because the characters. We wrote in our chance for the characters to just become the DM, pretty much.
I see.
And then even if they didn't do that, the Elder Scrolls or the actual titular Elder Scrolls are so loosely defined that and on purpose so that if they don't want to wave something away with Chim, they can just go, oh, the Elder Scrolls. And then
Oh,
that's it. And then it's lawful.
I see.
Because like, this is something that I learned recently. But so how the Elder Scrolls work is that there is an infinitely big or small number of them. People in canon try to count them, and they every time they try to count them, they got a different number. So there's an infinitely small or large number of them. And when you open them, you see something. But that something, the text that you see, will not be the same for everyone. And once something from those things that it said happen, then everyone sees that thing to be in the Elder Scrolls. So it's like the worst fucking clairvoyance thing. Like it's the worst crystal ball.
I
It's not a crystal ball. It's an I told you so.
see.
It's the universal I told you so. But yeah, anyway. So I watched a couple of lore videos, and I was like, man, I'm kind of feeling like giving Skyrim another try because I need like I played Assassin's Creed Origins as my time waster game, whatever game that I can listen to videos while I play. But there were issues with the streaming, and turns out they removed it from PS Plus, or well, they removed the actual like local copy from PS Plus, so you can stream the game through PS Plus, and that's fine. You can't download the game though.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's no good.
So I had to look for another one, and then I figured, well, fuck it. It's aping Skyrim. Like it's aping Skyrim, The Witcher, and Dark Souls. So out of those three, Skyrim is on PS Plus. So yeah, I opened up Skyrim. I installed a couple of mods, just small ones, like uh changing the dialogue so it's more human, because people have real robotic like spaces between how they speak and stuff like that. Or like what else did I add? Horses don't immediately jump into battle. If you get engaged while you're walking next to your horse, the horse will not stand there and be stabbed multiple times until it dies, but will in fact run away like it should.
Very nice. Very nice.
Or also, uh, just normal NPCs. When people roll in initiative, so to speak. I guess I don't know, because like it might still kind of work like that under the hood, because Morrowind worked like that kind of. But either which way, when the battle begins, or when the game recognizes that there being a battle state between two characters, and one of them is an NPC, of course, it looks at the NPC stats and it looks at the enemy's stats, and if the NPC can't logically beat the enemy, then it runs away instead, which makes sense. If so, like if the fucking World Ender Dragonborn guy who suplexes dragons is taking out his sword to fight, you're not gonna go like, all right, mate, I'm here to do fisticuffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was I gonna say? Shit. Yeah, I installed more mods like that. And also like a couple of fast travel icons. Like there's two fast travel mods. One of them is a couple of assorted icons, and the other one is literally every fucking icon in the game. So I went with the assorted icons to try to make traversal a bit easier on me, because I remember that the thing that made me drop Skyrim the first time was a traversal, because I don't know about you. One of my least favorite part of any 3D Bethesda published RPG, which is the way I have to put it, because Bethesda didn't develop New Vegas, but it's true for that too.
Right.
But one of my least favorite parts of any of those is just the amount of time that it takes, where you just walk towards something, and there's nothing happening for like 20 minutes, but you just walk. Like sometimes you may be attacked by wildlife, but it only really, like, at best it's an annoyance.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as much of an issue with New Vegas, because New Vegas was built so there was always like either secret settlements or just normal settlements close enough that it was just like, oh, I'm gonna do like a 10-minute walk at most, and I get somewhere. Like
Mhm.
something interesting will happen, like a mission will trigger, or Radiant quest, I guess technically something will happen.
Yeah.
Skyrim doesn't have that. Skyrim doesn't have that. So imagine walking from Good Springs to New Vegas, just straight on walking from Good Springs to New Vegas, and that is you're going from the tutorial to the next mission, and that is every mission. At best, I've been given multiple missions where the game is like, or where the characters are like, all right, so I need you to get this whatever thingamajig for me. It's just like a stone's throw away, and then you open up the map, and it's on the little other side of the map. And the map is deceiving. Like the way the in-game map is set up makes the world look a lot bigger than it is. But that doesn't change the fact that it feels like I'm walking for 30 minutes and I'm doing nothing but just walking in the forest for 30 minutes. And yeah, that's why I dropped it the first time around. So I added those mods, played around a bit, figured out more parts that I didn't like about the game, and then just modded them out.
That's fair.
Combat. I don't know what that is. Do you Do you mean the animation that plays when people talk shit to me and then drop dead? So Skyrim has a thing where if you have a high enough proficiency with the weapons, I think, and high enough attack stat and all that, then once at the end of a battle, you will do an animation to kill a person if they have a low enough health. I got a couple of mods that make it so not only can they happen in one fight multiple times, but there's also a higher chance to get them. And considering the way that I like, you can break Skyrim's balancing without mods. You can just learn. You can look up a couple of guides on how to enchant stuff, and you cannot take damage. You deal all of the damage simultaneously in every direction, more or less. So I just did that, and it's become a thing where every fight someone talks shit or like 4 people run up to me, and then I just do the animations on them, and that was the battle. And I like this. I like this because the uh the way the game wants things to go is for me to wail on them with no real feedback for at least half a minute, and that doesn't sound fun to me. Like that just sounds like a waste of my time because the combat is not engaging. So why should I engage with it?
Right.
So I just removed that. I added all of the icons, so I don't have to just walk around in the fucking forest for 30 minutes for no real reason other than, well, we have a big world.
Mm-hmm.
And then stuff like that. I also added a follower mod so I can have more followers because I don't want a true, like, I don't want to be a duo. I want to have an RPG party.
Yeah.
And uh that
Classic with
ended
that
like,
is
yeah.
the classic with that is you load up on a party of, let's say, 4 followers. Seems reasonable. And then every fight just turns into all of your followers scrambling everywhere, killing dudes, while you just look around like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Especially,
Yeah,
God
I
help
had
you if you
to,
have a wizard.
yeah.
Everything's
I
on
had to send
fire!
I had to send my followers away because I did the College of Winterhold quest, and I was doing Gizargo's side mission where he's like, "All right, test out this thing for me." And the thing that he wants you to test is a flame cloak that damages things around you, also explodes, and he beats you. But at that point, I took no damage because I am God.
So, did you
So
get to the point
yeah,
where Jizargo became a follower?
yes. My plan by the end of the game is to hopefully have a team comprised of my son, as well as Carjo and Gizargo, and I'll make Carjo and Gizargo blades.
So, Jizargo, I believe, is considered by far the best follower in the game. You know what that
Nice.
is?
Mage.
Not just that, there are several mage followers. I'm pretty sure that why that is either there is some math equation that determines the level of your follower based on your level, and for every follower except Jizargo, it's built to make it so that your followers are weaker than you. Jizargo, I want to say the math formula is fucked up, and he's actually a multiplication of your power level.
Oh no!
Or
Oh no!
that one's pretty crazy. I'm not for certain that was it though. The alternative would be a much more disappointing, but still logical reason why Jizargo is a really good follower. The alternative is I want to say that maybe all the followers are capped at level 30, and once you get to level 30 and go further, they won't progress with you anymore. They're just stuck at level 30.
Yeah.
And I want to say Jizargo is the only follower in the game, except maybe Serana, who will go above level 30 with.
Yeah. That's something that I could potentially patch out because I remember seeing a mod that makes it so followers can level up past 30. But
Okay, yes, that was it. Okay, yeah, Jizargo is the only one who doesn't have a level cap of 30, I believe. I'll look that up real quick, but
all right, but yeah, there's also this thing of I also changed the level up system, so I don't have to spend as much time worrying about it because I don't want to. Like most of these the problem is that with where my character is, thanks to enchantments, with where my character is, 90% of the perks useless. Just completely, utterly useless.
Okay, yeah, it is. All the followers have a maximum level, except apparently it differs from follower to follower. Like apparently Lydia's maximum level is level 50. She'll stop leveling at level 50. She just tops out
Ah,
there. Whereas Sven, the Nord dude you can pick up in the very first town, Riverwood, has a level cap of only 20.
nice.
But there are 5 followers, Jazargo is one of them, that don't have level caps. So those
But
5 are
yeah, so
considered
yeah,
the best because they can just stick with you the whole game.
nice. But yeah, like, and so I was doing the College of Winterhold quest, doing Gizargo's side stuff, and I had my followers with me who were Karjo, Lydia, my son, which like I considering the end result, and considering that I went with the Khajiit because of course I did, I figured it would be funny to have a team of 3 Khajiits and one Nord child named Hror.
Hmm. And the child
But
thinks he's.
yeah, sure. Uh, so yeah, I had Hror, and then I had I forget her name. The chick that you have to beat in a fist fight.
There's probably several of them.
You beat her in Vitron. That's all I remember.
She one of the followers? Not the followers. Is she one of the companions?
No, she wanted to join the companions, but was kicked out because she was too rough.
I don't know her then.
Whatever. So that chick, while I was testing out Gizargo's spell, she stood too close to me, thus damaging her, and then turned on me. Now, once again, keep in mind, at this point, thanks to enchantments, I am God.
I forgot
So
followers could turn on you at all. I don't remember that.
they seem to be able to, because I've damaged multiple like story followers. Not to the point that they turned, but to the point where their enemy health bar appeared. And
Oh
then
no,
it,
that'll
and
just
then
appear for anyone you harm, regardless of whether or not they're aggressive.
okay. But yeah, this follower definitely turned on me because they were attacking me while I was still on fire, and I was just standing there like, please stop. You're only hurting yourself. And then she died.
Naturally.
So so after that I sent away all of my followers, and then once I'm done with getting all of my shit, then I'll round the team up again, and then I'll stop using magic, so I won't damage them.
Yeah.
Because like it's a thing of like Lydia, whatever. I can replace Lydia. I don't want to lose Karjo because I don't want to. I don't like. I can get another Nord woman whenever. I can't really
I
find.
don't think there's follower permadeath.
Huh?
Like, is that a mod you turned on? Because follower permadeath is not a thing in Skyrim.
I'll have to check. I'll have to check both if I have a mod like that, and if not, then I'll have to check if I can still find her body.
She probably got back up after you left.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if well, no, never mind. I was gonna say if she got back up, then wouldn't she just travel with me because I didn't dismiss her? But then I remembered, oh yeah, she turned on me, so
Yeah.
probably not.
Was she actually like a follower that you could recruit and dismiss and would carry things for you, or was she following you
Yes.
for a quest?
No, she was a follower that I recruited and could dismiss.
That is really weird. I've never heard of that happening because then it would be just about impossible to have followers attacking you.
Yeah.
That is not a usual thing, though I wouldn't be shocked, Bethesda being Bethesda, if that one follower in particular. What'd you say her
Yeah.
name was?
I don't remember her name. That's the thing. Like I think it started with a G, but I don't remember.
I'll just look up every follower in Whiterun. Keep talking. I'll be looking at this
All
for a
right.
minute.
Yeah. No, I don't. I also looked it up, but it's just like, here's how the follower system works. I understand how the follower system works. Anyway, yeah. So, the first time I played Skyrim, I went with the, or well, I went. No, I did the intro for the Legion because I didn't notice the Stormcloaks. Like I didn't notice the part where you can actually choose between which guy you go with. So I just went with the Legion guy. So that happened. Once again, I quit that storyline or whatever, quit that playthrough. This playthrough, I went with the Stormcloaks. I actually noticed where the plot lines diverge and went with the Stormcloaks instead. Because if memory serves, the Legion work with the Talmor, and I don't want to work with the Talmor.
Uthgerd the Unbroken.
Yeah, Utgard, it was her.
Uthgerd sometimes disappears when she is your follower. She does not die, she does not return to Whiterun, and the game no longer considers her a follower.
Cool.
There is also a chance
Uthgard,
that you will not be able to recruit another follower if she disappears. So make sure to save often if you have Uthgerd as a follower.
so it's a good thing that she killed herself on me.
Oh my goodness.
She may attack you for no apparent reason.
So that's what happened. That's why she's dead. Wow.
There's a fucking Bethesda.
I'm royally impressed.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to figure out who I want to be the last person in the team. I think I forget if the mod that I got allows me to have 4 or 5 followers. I think it does 5. I think it allows 5 followers and 5 pets. Cause fuck you. I have a zoo. You can't attack me.
I always forget that Skyrim and Fallout count pets as different from followers.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I forget it in Skyrim because in Fallout I can always specifically remember. Oh yeah, you can have Eddie or Rex alongside a human follower or super cool follower. But I forget for
Yeah.
Skyrim because there's so few followers that aren't human or elf or orc.
Yeah. I like if like depending on when I recognize that the end game is coming for the main story or something. Like once again, I'm just gonna have to assemble the Avengers, which will be fucking all of the Khajiit that I can find, pretty much. So Gajo and Jizargo, because they're I think the only 2 recruitable Khajiit, but whatever. Just whoever else that I feel like. Probably Lydia, because she works for me. Well, she works for the y'all, and they all tell us that she works for me, so close enough.
What? And they just kill Alduin and you eat the soul?
Sure. But yeah, like I'll pick up all of those humanoid followers, and then also just steal all of their wolves from fucking Dawnguard.
By the way, I wanted to throw in real quick. Apparently, Jizargo is the only vanilla mainline Skyrim companion who doesn't have a level cap, which I have to assume is a bug in classic Bethesda fashion. The other 4, 3 of them are all Dawnguard dudes, as in like members of the fucking Dawnguard. And then the last one is just this random Nord chick you can find on Solstheim hanging out at a village.
Nice. Okay, so Dawnguard, I have a question. I don't know if you've actually played through, or I don't know if you've read or whatever on this or whatever.
I played a decent stretch of Dawnguard, but I did not finish.
Okay. So, well, the context. My character is a Khajiit that's also a werewolf. Or whatever the fuck a Khajiit that turns into a werewolf it would be called.
That would be a cat wolf.
Yeah. What's like mid English for cat?
Good question. I'm not sure the mid English knew what the fuck a cat was.
But yeah, so like my character is a cat wolf because I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And of course, being a werewolf is super good because whenever you turn into a werewolf, you just wreck everything.
Oh yeah, not only that, but I also found a mod that rebalances the werewolf, so it's about in line with Vampire Lord. Do you have a reason to go with werewolf or well, you have a choice between werewolf and Vampire Lord instead of just, well, I guess I'll be a Vampire Lord.
The Dawnguard DLC by itself makes the werewolves a lot better. Werewolf though is very unsubtle. It's turn into
Yeah.
a werewolf, beat the fuck out of people, eat people, become more wolf. And I don't know how the
Yeah.
scaling is on that, but the Vampire Lord having actual spells they can do does change things. The werewolf,
But
not
yeah,
exactly the most elegant spellcaster in the world.
yeah. But yes, I did the
The
Dawnguard
werewolf's
DLC. Up
definitely
until the
faster, though. I remember that the Vampire Lord is real fucking slow, but the werewolf's faster.
oh, but yeah, so I did the Dawnguard DLC. I freed a vampire chick. I uh accompanied her home, and then her daddy is like, "All right, because you saved my daughter, I'm gonna turn you into a vampire." And I go, I go, I'm a werewolf though. And he's just like, "Never mind." Just
Yep.
kicks me out of the fucking castle,
Yep.
and that's where the storyline ended,
Well,
as far as I can tell.
after that, you can go back to Castle Dawnguard and say, "Hey, the vampires are hanging out here. You want to kill them?"
Ah, okay, I'll have to go and do that then.
Like, you don't
But
really
yeah,
make it, even after the Vampire Lord dude turns you into a Vampire Lord, I think you can still betray them for the Dawnguard.
nice.
On top of that, I want to say Dawnguard or a scientist out in, like, Markarth or something can also revert your vampirism.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to go through the trouble of figuring out how the fuck you turn back into a werewolf.
Yeah, no, I don't know if the companions, if you can just go back to them like, hey, can we do the ritual again?
Hey, guy that's died like 20 years ago. Can we do the ritual again?
You know, I'm not for certain. Are there dynamic werewolf enemies in Skyrim? Not in the early game. I know that.
Not in the early game.
It might.
I haven't seen any, honestly.
I want to say that if you get attacked by a werewolf NPC, you have a chance to catch lycanthropy that way.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the same story with vampirism, but you can't become a vampire lord.
Yeah,
If-
you can become a normal vampire, but you can become a vampire lord.
Yeah, and being a normal vampire just sucks. Hans!
Yeah. It was also great when I was doing the Brotherhood of Shadows. I forget the name. Shit.
Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, Dark Brotherhood. I was doing the Dark Brotherhood quest line, and Nazir was like, "Go kill this vampire." All right, I show up because I am God. I literally just touch them with a sword, and they drop dead. Go back to Nazir. He's like, "I hope you didn't catch vampirism. I am a werewolf. I can't."
Well, the gimmick, you know, especially like it was especially hard to play a vampire in Morrowind or Oblivion because people chance just looking at was there vampires in Morrowind? I don't think there were vampires in Morrowind. But in Oblivion, it was really hard to play a vampire because people shit their pants just looking at you. So the gimmick became play Dark Brotherhood as a vampire and just keep getting targets and going and drinking their blood as the gimmick. And with Skyrim,
Nice.
I imagine it's the same gimmick even as a werewolf of like, well, if I eat somebody as a werewolf out in public, that tends to raise a few eyebrows. However, in the back room of this bar,
Yeah.
what are those horrible mauling sounds I'm hearing in the bedroom back there? I don't know. Continues to drink.
Yeah. I can probably bring just thinking about the Avengers team. I can probably bring Farkash along just to keep it the animal team.
I don't think the companions mind you turning into werewolves or vampires or eating.
Well, no, the companions don't mind because their leaders, including me, are werewolves.
Well, yeah, excuse me, followers, yeah. Yeah, the companions, that'd be funny if they'd be like, oh, werewolf, tisk tisk.
Yeah. I also added a mod that rebalances the economy a bit. and some of the things that they said or the way that they laid it out was funny because it's like, you know, raise the amount or raise the basic fare for going from one place to the other with the cart because it's a war-torn economy. People would it would cost more because of moving stuff and all that.
A war-torn
And
economy,
like,
but it sure doesn't look like it.
yeah, and that's what the mod is trying to fix. And then also like it was like raise the amount of money that the crimes put on your head, the bounties. It is the amount that bounties are because crimes should be punished. And then it's like, all right, 10,000 for killing a guy in cold blood. Uh, fucking 1,000 gold for stealing. Uh, I think like 500 for lock picking or something like that. 30,000 gold. Werewolf.
Yeah, I do like the
Just
idea though still of the bounty system though, where it's like, oh fuck, you're a werewolf. $30,000 bounty. The werewolf just hands over $30,000 gold. Oh, go about your werewolf business then.
yeah. I also like how the wording makes it sound like you're not getting a bounty on your head because you're killing people as a werewolf. People just find out,
I
and then immediately you just have the money placed on your head.
I mean that's like that doesn't surprise me. That would make sense. There would just be crime being a werewolf.
Yeah.
Don't imagine they're too happy about vampires either. Man, I always
And
remember
yeah.
Fallout 4. You remember in Fallout 4? I never played a cannibal in Fallout 4, but I saw a picture where someone did play it, and they, of course, went up and ate somebody in front of some followers. And it's like, Curie disliked that. So-and-so disliked that. Strong like that.
Builds character.
Yeah. You're gonna eat that? Man. I
I also
can't
like
even
the
remember most of the Fallout 4 companions' names.
I remember Valentine. That's
Valentine,
it.
right?
Garvey.
Yeah, Preston Garvey.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Another cement needs your help. Please help me lift it.
Yeah, I think we all had that where we first made Preston a follower. Then we realized what he talked about, and we're like, okay, you know what? You can just sit at Sanctuary, pal. Have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that experience. Once I unlocked Preston, I told him to do whatever the hell he wants. I retrofitted my power armor to be a mobile suit Gundam, and made a katana, and then I headed straight for Dad. I think Samuel's name is
Yeah.
at that point. Like the weird thing is, allegedly, according to the game, I played through the story. I don't remember it. Like, I don't
I,
remember doing story missions.
I
But
distinctly
apparently
remember
they
getting
happen.
to the bit where you go through Kellogg's brain and going, oh, fuck me, this is so boring.
Yeah, like I don't remember those bits. I remember just being in the wasteland, doing like random side missions, and then suddenly I'm in the institution and I'm butchering the shit out of Sam. No, I did a swipe and he dropped dead, and then I left, and then the credits rolled, and I went, huh, Fallout 4.
We have truly become Fallout 4.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to Skyrim. It's weird to say that, but now that I've modded all of the parts that I don't like of the game design out,
Yeah.
I'm actually enjoying Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like, is it much more than a walking simulator? Not really.
No?
But the lore is neat. That's the only thing I like about Skyrim. So, or the Elder Scrolls, really. Well, no. Well, I was about to say, well, no, but no. That's like with every Elder Scrolls game. I like the lore. I don't like the gameplay. How much that tracks depends on the game. But Morrowind wasn't my cup of tea, but I can recognize it was good. I genuinely liked Oblivion. I wish I finished Oblivion, but at the same time, the reason I dropped it was just the load times on Xbox were too long.
They were pretty bad, yeah.
And then with Skyrim, like I wish that like, making Skyrim makes me wish that uh that Bethesda would remake the older games like Morrowind and Oblivion and maybe even Daggerfall in a newer engine with more polygon characters, and then just retrofit the gameplay mechanics that actually work in those games. So it didn't play like Skyrim, but it looked like Skyrim at least.
Well, even looking like Skyrim, it's like I'd rather have more creative, like, visual world design. Can we have less mountain?
Oh no, I don't mean it like that. I mean just like, and basically I want them to give a facelift to the older games. And the only way to get there that I know of is just Skywind and Skyblivion, which are, good efforts. Like I commend those people for working on these big mods that are pretty much just making an entire new game based on the assets and the engine of one game. But at the same time, I'm gonna wager it'll still play like Skyrim, and that's not negative.
Yeah.
And not only that, but especially in comparison to things like Morrowind, like how will you handle spellcrafting in Skyrim's engine?
You don't. Oh
Exactly.
boy. You talked about enchantment being nuts while I was, whew. Yeah.
Yeah. So Pink, to give you give you some context. So enchantment in Skyrim is broken enough that you can become god like I have, and it's not modded.
Excellent.
In Morrowind, you can do this through spells, but never mind that. You can also do things like jump out of the fucking world. Just give yourself a high enough jump that you fly.
So let me explain this. Morrowind has a spell crafting system. The way it basically works is there are a variety of spell properties you can choose from that are just simply buff strength, buff intelligence. And that's most of them. There are a couple weird ones, though, like Trap Soul. Trap Soul is a spell that is supposed to be used on enemies so that when you kill them, you collect their soul as an actual object that can be used as a crafting ingredient. However, some players at some point figured out that if you take a spell that is, let's say, buff strength by 30, and also Trap Soul, and you make it an area of effect spell, and then look down and shoot the spell at your own feet, you will cast the spell on yourself. And due to a weird thing going on with the Trap Soul effect, when the Trap Soul effect is cast on yourself, and this can only be done through casting an AoE spell on yourself. You can't directly cast it on yourself, but it has to be an AoE spell on yourself. The Trap Soul spell effect causes the spell effects to be permanent, have an infinite timer, and they can't be dispelled. So, you can go very quickly in the game to the first spellcrafting area, and just immediately, okay, buff strength by 100, and Soul Trap, cast on yourself, you can now kill any enemy in the game with one hit with your bare hands. Buff
Oh my goodness.
Buff Athletics. Athletics is the stat that controls your jump height and how much fall damage you take. Cast it on yourself. Oof. I remember when I figured that out with Morrowind. Because I put in a solid 15 hours with Morrowind, playing the game as you're supposed to. Had a good time. Then I found out about that shit. I cast all those spells myself, and I was amazed at the fact that this map, this game world, the island of Vardenfell in Morrowind, it takes you probably about, let's say, an hour to get from one tip of the map to the other. It's a relatively small map. This was about 2003, and it was also a very ambitious RPG that tried to have every corner of the map filled with something to do. So it's a relatively small map, but still it takes you about an hour to get from the northern tip to the southern tip on foot. And Morrowind did not have fast travel outside of a couple, like, teleportation stations, so you spent a lot of time hoofing it in that game. And I was astounded to see that I could buff myself so that I would legitimately like the Flash, running, sprint from one end of the island to the other in 10 seconds. And you can just keep buffing yourself. And unless you're running on a PC that can't handle just how much you'd be doing, you can legitimately buff yourself to fly the fuck out of boundaries like we did in New Vegas without console commands.
Oh my goodness.
And with Morrowind, the thing is, the later Elder Scrolls kind of toned down the wackiness of certain elements in the lore. Morrowind, that stuff is very much intended. One of the very first things you'll see in Morrowind is a wizard fucking around with those spells, falling out of the sky and falling to his death right in front of you. And you can
And then
pick,
you
you can
when you go to his corpse, you can pick up a scroll of Icarus. I think it's called.
the Scroll of Icarus, which is the spell he used and he designed in the same way that you can make it yourself. That for a little bit causes you to have massive jumps. It buffs your athletics so much that you can jump into the sky, but it wears off just in time so that your athletics goes back down to normal by the time you make contact with the ground, so you lose out on the fall damage reduction. So it is actually an extremely useful spell if you either A, can buff up your athletics enough to survive the fall, or B, use it to climb like a tower or something.
Yeah.
Morrowind is a wacky fucking game, and I need to reiterate something also here. A serious major plot element of Morrowind is that it is possible for people in the game to figure out that they are video game characters. And
Yeah,
when
I just explained Chim to Pink
oh,
a
Chim,
bit
yes,
ago.
okay, so Morrowind's the most important one for Chim. Chim's also kind of important. Chim's also important to Oblivion, but in a really weird way. Chim doesn't really come up in Skyrim much, does it?
Chim is implied in Skyrim, but they never openly discuss it. It's just if you look at like books, if you look at like I'm forgetting his name the Shumagoret guy from the book DLC.
Oh, of course, him.
Yeah, then he's just like Chim. Chim is good.
Yep.
But and there's also a book that's written in Deja that if you translate to if you translate it to a normal alphabet from the Daedric alphabet, then it's in Esperanto. If you translate the Esperanto to English, then it talks about Chim.
Yep. And this is one of those just bizarre things that is supposed to be the justification for something that I consider rather lame, but nonetheless it's something. So Oblivion is set in Cyrodiil, which is the central realm of the island of Tamriel, which is where all the Elder Scrolls games are set. Cyrodiil is the capital of the pretty well Elder Scrolls world, and it's home to the not quite Romans. And in Morrowind and earlier games, they'd established that the place was actually a big jungle. And while the people dressed like Romans, the architecture was very like Thai or Chinese adjacent, or almost Aztec. But when Oblivion was coming out, Lord of the Rings was all the rage, specifically Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. So
Right.
they had one of the emperors of Cyrodiil achieve Chim godhood and changed the entirety of Cyrodiil into generic Peter Jackson fantasy land.
I see.
Elder Scrolls is a wacky fucking series, man.
Yeah.
And I need to also mention this. Console commands are canon.
Ah, yeah.
If you use mods
Yeah.
and console commands, it's just that your character has achieved Chim and is manipulating the world to be what he wants.
Cool. I don't have to justify it then.
You legitimately don't. Your character has
Cool.
achieved Chim. He understands that he is a video game character. He has peered into other
don't-
worlds and is modifying Skyrim to look how he wishes.
I want to give you a a very bad and very scary thought. Waifu mods are canon.
That you're not wrong though. There has got to be some character in Elder Screen.
Those screens.
There's got to be some character in Elder Scrolls lore who has used Chim to just give himself a bunch of hot chicks. Vivek must have done that at some point.
Well, they didn't use Chim, but there's a guy in Skyrim. There's a necromancer in Skyrim that you can find and kill, who kidnaps women, kills them, and then fucks their ghost forcibly.
Jesus H. Christ.
Yes, I agree.
I was reading the
And
other day about that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the first one, not the second one.
yeah,
The second one's still not even out yet, right?
yeah.
That first one, there is a vampire you can find, a vampire chick you can find living in the basement of a hospital who doesn't just drink blood, she just straight up eats people, and it's horrible, and the place is covered in blood. And after you meet her, she's actually surprisingly chill towards you, I guess because you're a vampire. After that, there are several NPCs that if you find them and you don't like them, you can tell them to go check out the hospital back basement. Look, there's something real cool there.
Wow.
Yeah. Like you run into like a rapist or a serial killer or some kind of like snuff porn guy, and you can just tell him, "Hey, in the hospital basement, would you believe there's a load of hot chicks there waiting for you? Oh, sweet, let me get some of that action."
Yeah. But yeah, like I like how a lot of my mods are just like, once again, the thing that changes the currency, so it makes more sense in the world. Graphics mods, so the game doesn't look as out of date, and it looks a lot more moody. Like I like it a lot more because I don't know, it is a lot higher contrast, so it makes it hard to see, but like it adds atmosphere to the catacombs. It's genuinely nice that I was unironically jump scared by a drummer once. That's their name, I think. Like, and I wanted to say everything. Dunmar.
Yeah.
Fucking Drenger.
Falmore?
Isn't it Talmor the elves?
No, not Thalmor. Falmore. Palmer, whichever.
Well, Falmer.
No elves that are degenerated because the Nords genocided them.
Yeah, the Falmer. The Falmer was really good. I did a quest with which one was it? I think that was the a part of the Thieves Guild quest line where you just have to go around in one of the Dwemer ruins, and there's a lot of farmer that you have to fight. And it was so neat how I couldn't see shit. I have this torch; it lights up nothing, and I've had Mage Light for the last like I want to say 30 in-game days. I don't like using Mage Light because it makes it so I can actually see, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the torch lights up just enough that I can see some things, but at the same time, it keeps the atmosphere of the place unbroken.
Yeah.
And it was so neat to not be able to see shit, and then just like you see a glint of an eye. It's a farmer, and it texts me.
Well, the creepier thing
And
to the Falmer is their pets.
yeah, I mean, no, the creepier thing than the farmer is the things that turn them into farmer.
Well, yeah. Racism.
Yeah,
Racism. Not even once. There's something I do really like. The place where Skyrim gets really visually interesting is the Dwemer room. Always. And there is something I really like about the Falmer being so far gone and so trodden upon that they are forced to live in the hollowed out shells of their mysteriously disappeared cousin. And it just kind of shows how
yeah,
weird and different the Elder Scrolls elves are, you know?
yeah. I also like how once again, I don't see a lot of the Dwemer ruins, the Dwemer ruins because of the mods that I have make it so like one of them is literally just titled Real Darkness or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's great. It
It
has so much
is.
fucking atmosphere. But yeah, so like I can see shit. If I walk up to something real close, then I can actually see. Since I'm a Khajiit, I have night eye, so I can turn night eye on. It lightens the contrast just enough that I can see the outlines of things.
Yeah.
Like I love how all of the mods interact with this stuff and how me going with Khajiit even works with the mods because if I need to see more, I can.
Yeah, that's one of those really funny things about lighting mods for both Fallout and Skyrim. It actually makes a lot of stuff that's just useless in base games actually really good.
Yeah.
Like Fallout's a similar situation. How many times do you pick up Cat Eye in New Vegas and go, "Oh, vendor trash, great"?
Yeah.
All the times.
I'm gonna have to see. Like once I'm done with Skyrim, I'm gonna have to see if I can mod Fallout 4 to a similar level.
I want there to be an NPC in the next Fallout
Yeah.
game who's addicted, and you start to talk to him, and eventually you're able to get him to admit what drug he's addicted to, and it's cat eye. And you just go,
Yeah.
what? Why?
How? Cat doesn't even cause addiction.
That we know of. Nobody uses it to find out.
Yeah.
No, if you have a high enough med stat, then you can tell them that it doesn't cause addiction. Uh, but yeah, whenever I can see parts of the Devolver Ruins, I like how, like, I don't know why they went with this route, but I like how, for some reason, the super racist dwarf elves, just decided that their art style is Art Deco.
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, it looks neat. I'll give him that.
The Dwemer were weird dudes.
Yeah. Uh. So yeah, there's like I've also had a couple of good funny stories, like the Thieves Guild. One of the missions is you have to go and burn someone's farm because the Thieves Guild is just the mob.
This Skyrim Thieves Guild is so stupid.
Yeah, like the
Hey, you want to be a
Thieves
thief?
Guild. Yeah, and
Boy, do I.
the Oblivion Thieves Guild was actually kind of neat, from what I remember. And the Skyrim Thieves Guild is just like 20%, 20 to 25% just mob stereotypes, and then 75% people sitting around with the thumbs up their arse
Yeah.
while the leader steals money
Yeah.
from them, mind you, not from other people, from
Yeah.
them.
Like, I hate one of the many reasons I hate the essential PC system is the moment I saw the Skyrim Thieves Guild, I just wanted to bust out the flame spell and burn them all out of the fucking sewers. Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
Not only are you shitty people, but you're shitty at being shitty people.
But yeah, so one of the missions is just you have to burn this farmhouse down and steal stuff from the actual house. But because we're thieves and we're not the Dark Brotherhood, we don't kill people.
Yeah.
So
I didn't kill him, the fire did.
oh no, I actually tried. No, I got into a fight with someone. I think they had me extort money from a guy, so I didn't have weapons equipped. And I was when I got into a fight, I was just like, well, that works out. And then proceeded to chokeslam all of the guards.
Yeah.
And either chokeslam or burning hammer all of the guards.
Yeah. Yeah, Pink, have you ever seen what the hand-to-hand style looks like in Skyrim?
Oh.
So Skyrim has sync kills that trigger from time to time when you hit the final blow on someone with your hand-to-hand. Sadly, this doesn't happen too frequently unless you're playing a Khajiit or Argonian, because they get higher hand-to-hand damage. But otherwise, you can't build on hand-to-hand as a skill in your skill tree, because it's just gone. You can't do that in Skyrim. Nonetheless, they put in a bunch of specific sync kill animations for hand-to-hand style, where you will chokeslam people to death, German suplex them to death, and burning hammer them to death.
My God.
And that is, I don't watch much Vine Sauce Vinny, Eddie, but I have seen the suplex clip.
I probably know which one you're talking about, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't watch all of his Skyrim playthrough because as you know, I am one of those people who are like Skyrim.
So, it was a bit, he was standing behind a lady while she was standing up on like a podium, giving a successful speech, and the crowd was chanting and cheering, yeah, yeah! And I don't know why, but Vinny just decided to punch the lady in the back of the head. He didn't realize that he was so strong it would be an instant kill. So while this lady is giving a speech and is like, we will unite Skyrim, then Vinny's Khajiit just out of nowhere fucking grabs her German suplexes her.
Nice.
And the crowd was still cheering.
Nice. The Brotherhood, well, Astrid specifically was really disappointed in me when I didn't make a big deal out of killing the Septims. I think no, not that wouldn't be Septims. The Septims are dead. What the hell is the guy's name? Whatever, the
The
ruler dude.
Jabroni Emperors.
Yeah, the Jabroni Emperor's cousin, I think. The woman who's on the wedding. She's like the only person that I didn't make a big deal out of killing. She's the one you're supposed to.
Eh.
Like, with her, I was actually sneaky, and I parkoured on the top of Solitude, the Solitude fortress, and ha! I just realized the pun.
Eh.
But yeah, no one knew I was there, except for the time, except for the part where even though I was in the shadows, where I could barely see myself, and the game told me that I was hidden when I shot her, and I got a sneak attack bonus. Never mind all of that. The guards knew where I was.
Yeah.
I also really like how they're looking at the mods for PS4, and you look at what's popular or whatever, and it's just like, you know, some of it is made, some of it makes sense. It's like, all right, here's a new follower that I made. Here's additional quests. Here's I remade this small settlement so it looks nicer or whatever. Like I have a mod like that makes some of these smaller towns into small scale cities instead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's those stuff. Also, like, for some reason, somewhere between 15 and 25 mods that change how the werewolf looks.
Eh.
But it ranges from you can change the werewolf into other animals. Makes sense, I guess. To I just slept texture mod and your werewolf is now neon green. Alright.
The classic I always remember is how many mods there are to turn the werewolf into a werebear.
Yeah. There are a ton that turn you into a werebear. Like it's like there's I want to say like three or four werebear ones in the popular that I remember seeing recently, and then the rest of the popular tab was like a roughly 50-50 split of just werewolf mods and other mods translated to Japanese.
Skyrim is super popular in Japan, especially once you get it off PC.
Huh. But yeah. Do I have anything else to really say about Skyrim? I feel like I have a couple of funny stories, but the one I remember immediately was Utgard killing herself on me while I stand there. I mean, there was also that time in the Dwemer Ruins where all of the companions, all of the story companions are building up the golem. It's the only golem I've faced so far. Well, you know, I don't know if they're called golems, but you know, like the big guy, the large robot.
Yeah, the Dwemer golems, yeah.
Yeah. So they're building up the golem. I was like, oh, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Once again, keep in mind, at this point, I am God.
Yeah, if you don't have a crazy enchantments, the golem is a legitimate ass kicker. But if you do, yeah he's as much of a joke as everything else.
But it just the scene that the game presented of, once again, I have all of these graphical mods that make it so the game is full of atmosphere. I didn't even turn the mods off. I reordered the mods, so one of the other ones was on top, and the game looked worse. The game had less atmosphere. I don't know how that makes sense, but I guess it does. Either which way. Yeah, the game spends like all of the dungeons building up the golem, and then the golem is there, and I need to beat the golem to get the key so that we can go and meet the actual big bad that the storyline is focusing on. All right, golem starts up. I swing at it once. Golem is dead. Just unceremoniously. I don't even know if the golem finished their boot up sequence.
Take the machine parts out and eat them.
Yeah, I did. I have a carry capacity mod because fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I think Dark
So,
Souls demonstrated to everyone the carrying capacity is actually a very lame feature that you don't need.
but yes, I have a mod that disables carry capacity. Well, no, actually, I have a mod that gives me an enchanted ring that gives me like 5 million carry capacity, which is close enough, but it's not infinite. But yeah, so I have pretty much infinite carry capacity. So I'm just lugging around. I want to say like 2/3 of a Dremel ruin in my backpack at this point. I can't even sell this shit. Like there is no vendor in the game that has enough money for me to just lay all of these on them. It was also really cool how I became Archmage uh the College of Winterhold. While the only like three spells I know are heal, flames, and ward. Which ward you get through the missions in the college quest line.
Yep. Like, you can legitimately get, if memory serves, there is a certain trick you can do that you can just beat the College of Magic questline without ever doing any magic at all.
Nice.
And be considered the greatest wizard in all of Skyrim without doing any magic at all.
Nice. But yeah, like my plans for this playthrough right now are I will try to build out the most like bullshit resume that I can, and then join the Stormcloaks. Just because like I'm already the harbinger of the companions. I am the leader of the Dark Brotherhood. I am the leader of the Thieves Guild. I am a bard. I don't think I'm the leader of the bards just yet. I am the Archmage of the College of Winterhold. I am the Dragonborn. Uh
I like the idea of going up to the Stormcloaks and going, "Hey, I'm the leader of the Dark Brotherhood, the super illegal order of assassins that just kills people mostly just for fun. Want to let me
yeah,
in?" I'd make a real cool Stormcloak. I'm also a cat, not a Nord, but you know.
yeah. I mean, like the thing there though is that like because of the Dark Brotherhood quest line, if you're the leader of the Dark Brotherhood, you can just if they don't want to let you in, you can just go. What do you think happened to the last emperor?
Yeah.
Hell, people can like in my playthrough, people can probably tell you what happened to the last emperor. As I had a fucking fist fight on the top of the ship
Yeah.
with all of the guards. Like you know what? I like the Dark Brotherhood, and I like the stealthy gameplay style and whatever. Then I have a reason to use it. I am God. I don't need stealth.
Eh.
Like I would worry about being noticed if attacks actually hurt me, but they don't. And the reason that I can just do stuff like this, Pink, is I have enchanted on a necklace that heals my stamina, my health, and my magicka by like 1,000 points every second, or
That's
something
a
stupid
lot.
like that.
That's a lot.
And then keep in mind, Pink, that when you start the game out, you have a magicka of 100. So
All of your stats are 100.
yeah. So I'm just passively rebuilding like 10 times as much magic core and whatever else that as I could be losing potentially. Like modern Skyrim is fun. I enjoy playing it because I can interact with the stories without actually having to play Skyrim.
Yeah, and you get to personalize it. I remember when I
Yeah.
modded Skyrim, I forget what I did, but I always remember Mike talking about one mod he put. I always wanted to try, but I didn't find out about it. He didn't tell me about it until I was pretty well out of Skyrim. It pretty well just made it where they're constantly all over the map, and like the Legion Storm constantly fighting. And he would sometimes just be walking along, and he'd see like 50 Stormcloak and out of each other out in the field.
Yeah. I found a similar one on PS or PlayStation where they just add more NPCs. Like I think the mod says that it adds like 1,000 plus NPCs just to make the world feel more lived in.
Oh yeah, I do remember that was one of the mods I got because I didn't like that. Barring like 5 or 6, almost all the followers in Skyrim are boring vanilla man who say generic lines.
Yeah.
I do remember I downloaded a big mod that had like 30 waste followers. I never actually met that many, and I have to assume one of them was embarrassing and fetishistic as mod stories are. But nonetheless, I do remember trying that mod out at some point, and actually liking some of the ones that are in it. Some of them had some pretty iffy voice acting, but that's what you get.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I want to add modded followers and stuff like that because I don't like
There
this
is
weird
one
thing
modded
where I
follower that
yeah,
everybody and their mother loves, and he's uh
the pirate. Yeah, I know
uh
the guy.
not the pirate. I don't think he was a pirate. His name was Inigo. Inigo.
Yeah, him. He's a pirate. Well, he don't. I know him as a pirate.
Well, I don't know what Inigo was in Oblivion. I want to say that the mod in Skyrim is a sequel to the mod from Oblivion. But yeah, everybody picks up Inigo. I remember I got Inigo, and Inigo was pretty cool. Inigo has a shitload of voice acting, and he recognizes nearly every location in the game and has something to say about it.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to add Inigo at the same time. I don't think I can.
Why is
Like, I
that?
don't think he's on PlayStation.
Oh, poop.
Yeah, the thing with that is like the thing with mods is that like I have access only to the ones that are uploaded to Bethesda something or other. I forget the name.
.net.
Yeah, Bethesda.net. And so on, unless the person who made Inigo translated the mod to PlayStation and Xbox and uploaded it there, or gave the go ahead to someone else to do that, then I wouldn't have access to him.
It would be a lot of work to port over the amount of dialogue lines he has as well.
Yeah, and there, another problem is I think Sony specifically has a thing where you can't your mods can't add further content to the game, or how do I put this? Like they you can't add assets to the game.
Oh, it has to be entirely using vanilla assets. Well, didn't you play Fallout 4 with Gundams?
Yes,
Fallout 4 does not have Gundam assets in the vanilla.
that was an Xbox, I think, but
Oh,
I could probably check my Twitter and see if it says what I uploaded the pictures on.
probably Xbox. Yeah, I remember it being Xbox.
But yeah, like on Xbox, you can have stuff that adds further stuff. Not on PlayStation though, because Sony apparently.
Yeah, classic Sony.
And yeah, like if I can somehow like I did see that there's a Dongor DLC Khajiit. I think it was Dongor. Oh no, it was a Dragonborn DLC Khajiit follower that you can add with mods. And I thought about it. Like I am tempted to just go with an all Khajiit team, maybe except for Farkash. Because once again it's just really like the idea of just an entire just a team of Khajiit. Some of them are blades. Also a Nord kid called Hror. And also, by the way, one of the Khajiits is a werewolf, so here's also an old guy who's also a werewolf. Fuck it. But yeah. So that's Skyrim. Then I looked over to the site to see how long I've spent talking about Skyrim. Then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm not recording this podcast. I can I can check off based off of the runtime, which I usually do.
It is 2:30. 2 hours and 30 minutes. We have been talking about
All right.
Skyrim for quite a long time.
So yeah, then I played Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. That's
Played
the full
that?
title.
Have you played that game like twice now?
No. By the way, I've played it. I haven't talked about it on the podcast, I don't think. You're probably thinking of World Order.
Okay, so this is a sub-series.
No, Digimon doesn't have a Digimon doesn't have a main series. Digimon has multiple separate series running concurrently, and they're all in their own canon. Fuck you.
Hey.
But yeah, so there are the Digimon story games. The Digimon story games are Pokemon, pretty much.
Eh.
Then you have the Digimon World games. The Digimon World games are weird. So Digimon World 1 and World Next Order are monster raising games. Like Slime Rancher. Not Slime Rancher. What's the Monster Rancher? There we go. That's the one. And then Digimon World 2 is slightly more like Pokemon, and 3 is different somehow, but it hasn't been really related to me well. How? And then 4 is just a dungeon crawler.
Eh.
So yeah, Digimon World is a mixed bag, and then you have the Rumble Arena series, which only has two installments. We don't talk about the one on 360. And Rumble Arena is Digimon's fighting game. It's a platform fighter, and that's pretty much the series as far as I know. I like the world, but I like World 1 and Next Order more than I do the other games, just because it sets Digimon apart. It doesn't play like Pokemon. It plays it slightly resembles Pokemon, but it plays more into the whole Digimon is a spin-off of Tamagotchi thing a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And I like that. I also like the monster like it's a thing of like, well, the monster raising makes sense because it's a spin-off of Tamagotchi. It's also fun. It also leads to some weird, funny get-ups where your 8-foot tall nightman shits on the floor because he couldn't find the bathroom 2 steps away.
I see.
Yeah. Digimon World can get wild. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is a much more story-based, much more Pokemon game. Like, the main differences that I can point out that makes it different to Pokemon is that you don't catch Digimon in the wild. The more you fight them, the better understanding you get of them. And then once you get a good enough understanding, you can just go into the lab and make them. And then the other big difference that I can think of is that in the battle system, the game shows the turn order. So there isn't oh, that Pokemon was faster than mine, I guess. It's just, all right, next one in order. Not my Digimon.
Yeah.
The game, I guess the other difference is that, well, with games coming out or Pokemon games coming out around that time is that in Digimon you can have handicap matches where you only have one Digimon but the enemy has multiple, or the other way around. Usually it will be the first one. And then you can go up to three against, I don't know how many, honestly. Probably 3 against 3. But yeah. The storyline is uh the storyline is the thing that I like about Digimon, the thing that draws me into Digimon is the aesthetics of, here's what the early 2000s thought the internet looked like,
Eh.
and they're wrong. They're wrong, but that's our aesthetic. And I like that aesthetic because I grew up in it because it was the early 2000s. So yeah, like I like that more about these games than I do most other things. I had a real poignant point here, and I forgot. I love when this happens. But yeah, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth sadly is a game that bleeds from multiple places though. Like, once again, there's not a lot setting it apart from Digimon, so, or not Digimon. It doesn't have a lot to set it apart from Pokemon. So aside from, hey, I have this thing that's a handheld, because it was a handheld game. I have this thing that's a handheld that is not Nintendo themed, so I can play Pokemon. I guess I might as well play this. Like aside from that, you don't have a lot of reason to play it over Pokemon. And the other one is that the translations for Digimon games are not great. Bemco doesn't pay their translators a good bit. Like Bemco doesn't pay their translators enough. And Next Order, or not Next Order, fucking Cyber Sleuth shows this too much. Because sometimes you get a translation error, and it's just like, oh well, the wording is slightly awkward, or oh no, I have to like look at the context of what they're saying to understand what this sentence means. Are those bad? Yes, but it's something you can put up with. Cyber Sleuth, you can have multiple choice, and like how in games you can choose a path, but in dialogue, and you have multiple choices.
Yeah.
So in Cyber Sleuth, you have those text boxes, but all of the choices make one sentence.
What?
So it's like, let's say, the character you're speaking with is like, "Do you want to go to McDonald's tomorrow?" And then your choices are, "I will really like to, but." Your second choice is, "I can't go because." And your third choice is, "I don't like McDonald's."
Ah.
Because I guess they ran out of line to like. I guess they translated the sentences too verbose or something, and just ran out of line to make them fit. But then why not just revert them instead of making it so all of the choices are the one same choice? Or well,
Yeah.
no, that's the thing. They're not the one same choice. They're still different choices. You just don't see half of them. And then there's also other weird stuff like this, like the Japanese word for monster is bakemono. There is a Digimon named Bakemon. Every time well, not every time, but a lot of times when they say bakemono, it is translated to Bakemon. That's not what they meant.
I see.
You can also be quizzed about stuff in the world, from the Digimon and stuff like that. It gives them stat upgrades.
Let's step out for a little bit.
All right, it gives them stat upgrades, and there's those are also multiple choice answers. And I have seen pictures of people answering the question correct, and then they get a reply saying incorrect. The correct answer was the same answer they gave. So like, imagine if you had to do like math, I guess, online, and you had to fill out a test. And it's like 2 plus 2, and you go, that's 4, and then the program just sends back, wrong. 2 plus 2 is not 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is floor. Is it now, Eddie? Uh. So yeah, but I've been enjoying the game. They did some fucking black magic to make it actually run on my PC at a frame rate that's higher than 2, even though it's a completely 3D game. So I appreciate that. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that. Let's see, what else did I do? Hmm. I don't know. I made the thumbnails for the Operation Claymore videos. You saw those.
Yep.
Did I draw anything? I believe I have an easy way to check this, but I'm not sure anymore. No. That's all I've drawn. Oh yeah, I guess I did get recommended an anime recently. I don't know if I want to give it a shot. So yeah, I wanted to ask y'all because I was alerted to this scene. Let's start putting it into general voice. And I am conflicted.
What is Oh my goodness!
Apparently, this is a running thing in the series.
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
Just German suplexes everywhere.
Yeah, it's a Brock Lesnar match.
Right?
But yeah, I saw that GIF and I went, maybe I should give this a try. But at the same time, it's a comedy slice of life series. So the slice of life,
Yeah.
cool. And my only real experience with that was Honey and Clover, and Honey and Clover sucks. So I guess we'll see. The only anime that I'm watching currently is just Digimon Go's game, and that's gonna be ending soon, from what we can tell, because it got moved. It either got moved slots, or it just straight up got removed from the channel. So
Oh boy.
yeah, well, it didn't get removed straight up just yet. No, they've announced that starting April, I want to say, its slot will go to a different anime on the Japanese TV channel that they air it. Which either means that it was moved to a, which either means that it's either on the way out or it's done.
I see.
But on the bright side, that means that I can actually catch up because I haven't watched that series in like 3 months. So hey,
Silver linings. Silver linings, yes.
yeah. All right. I think that's all I've done. So yeah, I guess I don't know what do
We
now.
could call that a podcast, but Alex also stepped out, and it'd be kind of awkward to call it a podcast with him without him here when he's the one recording. So,
Yeah.
quick solve for time. Solve for time.
All right. I'm gonna read out a title to an article to you. So, Pig, can you believe that The Witcher 3's next gen vaginas were unintended? Let's say.
Wait, that that's an article sentence right there.
Isn't it? And the thing is, it's like I'm gonna fact check this real quick. But no, that's real. That's real. That's a real article.
Lovely.
Okay, so it's from Kotaku. So not the like the most trustworthy news source, but either which way, look at that.
That's a wow.
Can you believe the gall of CD Projekt Red to not only invent next gen vaginas, but to withhold them from us?
That's something, all right.
Uh this is the part where you ask yourself. Okay, I was about to say this is the part where you ask yourself, how did this get past the QA? It didn't. How did people go? No, we don't need to fix this. How did people fucking just say no to QA on this?
Don't think that the QA department was built to try and check the characters.
Alex has a point there.
I mean, probably not, but
That's almost certainly how it got past Watch Dogs 2 as well. Because no guy is going to be sitting in the QA office Like, all right, today's my job is to look up all the characters and all the women's skirts. What? We're paying you to do what?
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, like
Does Witcher
this.
3 not already have full frontal nudity?
No.
On monsters, I mean.
Monsters, maybe.
Because I could almost swear Witcher 1 had full frontal nudity on monsters.
I think Witcher 3 might have tits, but I think
Well, it
that's
definitely
as
has
bad as things
that.
get.
My god, Witcher 1 was covered in them.
And in other news, a Division 2 update broke things so bad the game can't be updated again until they fix the system for delivering updates.
I
That's
saw that
impressive.
headline and I thought this sounds like bullshit, but funny bullshit anyways.
Yeah.
Because I try to be fair, unless I really, really hate something. I try to be fair. Division is a microtransaction heavy, games as a service, military third person FPS. This is a game that is perfectly built for your internet gamer intellectuals to go, look at this, the finest example of mankind's sin against God. So far be it from me to suggest that anytime the game makes an error, and I'm not going to go and say, like, oh, I'm a big fan of Division, I don't care, I will never play the game, I have no intent of playing the game, I have literally no interest in the game. But nonetheless, this is the kind of game that when it makes a slight trip, then suddenly there'll be, hundreds of people like, oh my god, watch the fumble! Oh, 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 oh. I'm going to go play my anime waifu game. Art.
I mean, the thing to me is just that, like, I read this headline, and like you say this about pretty much any other game. No, you say this about pretty much any other game publisher's game, and I go, that sounds fishy. It's Ubisoft.
Ubisoft's issue isn't so much that they're incompetent, it's just they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They just release slop because they know people will eat it up anyways. Why the fuck not? Like, that's why Assassin's Creed and Far Cry have just become, paint by numbers, just release the same game every year because people want it every year. They buy it every year and they play it every year. There's no motivation to change when you can continue to put out minimal effort for high returns.
Okay, reading further into it, apparently what happened with the Division was they were localizing the next season of events and stuff like that, and then they pushed the button to queue that or something similar, and that encountered an error that just broke patching for some reason. Like they can't automatically roll out stuff from inside there anymore. They need to rebuild the system that allows them to roll out updates on everything at the same time for events and stuff like that in the game.
This sounds like the kind of thing that happens to loads of developers, but Ubisoft's the only one dumb enough to actually announce they had that happen.
Yeah.
That's something that's also got to be understood here is that there are a lot of times where it's like, oh, these guys are such dumbasses, look at all the scripts they've made. It's like, no, they just are open about their screw-ups.
Yeah.
Like, there are all kinds of developer teams that would presumably were like, man, these guys, they're just very slow with their work. And it's just like, no, they're actually making loads of screw-ups. They just aren't saying that they're fucking up. It's just, they're making it look like they're taking their sweet time. Game development is hard.
Yes.
If anyone could do it, everyone would do it. Like, it is difficult, and it is a industry with a supply of workers much higher than demand. So the workers on the whole are treated generally poorly because there are 5 million ones to replace any given one that you fire. Like, fuck, a restaurant worker is more valuable now than a video game developer. Like, you could be the one guy working at the Taco Bell right now, and your boss tells you, please don't do that. And you can say, get fucked. I know that you don't have anyone to replace me with, right? Whereas if you're working at Ubisoft, they say, okay, we want you to model this next-gen vagina. You say, I don't want to do that. They'll say, get fucked. There's 500 dudes sitting in line to replace you, buddy. You make
There's
it or...
500 dudes. There's 500 dudes working on it alone.
Yeah.
Right now.
There are 500 dudes working that for free. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
We'll pay one of those guys to do it.
Ubisoft announces largest sum of hires as they buy up all of Nexus sex mods.
Man, I remember the thing with Nexus is you turn on top 100 non-adult mods. Okay, let's get all this stuff. But then the little sneaking party back when I was like 14 or 15 was like, okay, what do the adult mods look like? I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see all the crazy sex position mods that people must be making. Oh no, they're just all sexy walk mods with wiggle physics. That just turn all of the women in the game world into like thin-waisted, massive ass, massive boobs ladies who just gesticulating vigorously in every direction with every step.
Yeah, it's breasting boobily.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
With every step.
I was actually thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it out loud. Thank you for doing that. That's more of a book thing. What you just described is more of a book thing when they do that.
Well, yeah, it is a book thing, but like, isn't that the best way to
the word that I
describe
love that they use is heave.
Orbs.
The heaving orbs of fat.
Yeah.
And that's those great things. Where the writer, is insanely turned on. Anyone reading it is like, oh god, this is how an alien would describe human sex.
the pulsating globules. Fuck.
Now you're describing. Now you're really describing an alien infestation.
Yeah.
Like my guy. We go to some planet where they reproduce some other way, like fungus or something, and they see us rubbing our genitals together, and they're like, holy Jesus! What is this eldritch horror? That you pee with those! Stop!
Shit, anyway.
Man, I'm glad the walls on this place are thick, but sometimes I wonder, like, did that get out?
Yeah. But yeah, like from what I was to say, from what I know, like I haven't looked at sex mods because I don't have access to Nexus. I don't need to access Nexus, so it cuts down the amount of time I spend on Nexus to 0. So I don't have the temptation. Otherwise, I've only known a guy who used sex mods in WoW. And I never saw.
Wait, hang on now. Come on. That's not real. You're making this up.
No, I'm not. And let me explain. So I never actually saw things. So maybe bullshit. 100% could be bullshit. But the way he described the models for what he sees or what he saw was, women breast boobily, as you'd imagine.
There's
the normal humans have normal. Well, the normal humans have normal sized dicks, whatever that means. Night elves are fucking hung. And this is all of the information that I got.
They do have hooves, don't they?
No.
Oh, that's Draenei.
Yeah, Draenei.
Okay, I was about to say.
No, the night elves are humanoids. But the night elves are completely humanoid with plenty great feet and all that.
And it's elves, and elves are usually skinny, so I'm imagining like it's this super skinny guy who also has a tripod.
Yeah.
It reminds me. You know what it reminds me of? Way back in the day, when I was reading about Dawn of War, and this would probably been when I was a real young kid, so probably too young to see this, but either which way, when I was reading about Dawn of War, it was my first exposure to Warhammer 40k, and I thought this game sounded awesome. I wish I had a PC that could run it, and all this, that, and another. I remember like, oh, mods? What have people made for this? Oh, Naked Eldar.
Ah,
It's a strategy game! You can't even see the guys fighting most of the time!
there's exactly 3 pixels.
But one of those pixels is a nipple.
Yeah. It's like the fucking, it's like the porn games on Atari.
Oh, God. Captain General Custer. Oh, God.
Ah,
Boy, that
Pink Fire
would be
Audio
one
over-
that would pop Mike right there.
yeah. Pink, are you aware of what we're talking about?
I know the General Custer thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let us speak of this. No, let us not speak of this further.
It's,
That game is disturbing on several levels.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyways, so
Yeah.
where the fuck? Oh, Addy, you just entered kind of like pad for time, bring up memes mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I believe we could probably go ahead and wrap things up then.
Probably.
So, in that case, Addy, say bye. It's weird now. I'm actually remembering to do the Addy say bye bit now that I'm recording. Like I'd kind of forgotten to do it for the last year or so.
Yeah, because I decided the podcast ends usually.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I decided the podcast ends anyway, but I'm the one who actually has control over when the video cuts off.
well,
So you can just cut me off at any time, but
I
bye.
can. Oh, well, there we go. Later, folks.
The mix ups.